Roundabout Cast 2025, new year, new us.
Quarter of the way through the century already.
Start renumbering all of our podcasts every year, like Jump does to its issues.
That would get complicated. Roundabout Cast Season 7, Episode 8, like, that's the one Joe dies. This is always, I think, the scariest podcast to record every year because December is Game of the Year month, and we usually don't even have time to, like, do a pre-record to, like, shorten the topics. So we'll do what we did. We have a bonus corner at the end. If we have time, we'll talk about a couple of things very quickly. I doubt we will have time. Without further ado, who wants to go with some quickies? Also, it's nice to hear from y'all. We had such a good time at Game of the Year. Y'all, I started the editing process, and I'm jumping around a bit. The crazy thing about those is how you can see the deterioration of, like, our mental state as we drink so much and are sloshed by the end. Like, it.
Oh my god!
It's night and day.
There's one or two games that I know I talked about them because they were on there, but they were near the end, and I'm like, I don't even fucking remember, bro.
I don't even know.
It goes from, like, logic and reason, and by the end of the podcast, it is pure emotion. Like, that's the only thing driving us.
Just vibes.
Yeah.
I was focusing so hard to make sure I could pull off my gimmick correctly at the end.
Right, Joe has a very good gimmick. This will probably come out either, like, shortly after. Like, this is way easier. I hardly have to edit these, but which shows because they're so bad. But the Game of the Year, I actually have to spend some time trimming it down and cutting out the fat. So we'll see if it's come out by now. But Joe had a good gimmick for sure.
Yeah, should be paying off in dividends.
Yep. And on that note, who wants to go first? Also, Tyler hasn't said anything, but we do have a fourth co-host.
Oh, I'm here. I am here. Yeah. Always.
Yeah, you gotta get
in the corner like Batman.
In case this is someone's first listen, you gotta get all the voices in there at the very least, so they can start sorting them out. You know.
I'll go first.
Go.
Because I'm at the top. All right. Number one, I've been rewatching How I Met Your Mother. I'm actually on the last season right now, like halfway.
Ooh.
That show is so fucking funny. It's so good, and it's crazy to me, like, how much, like, the last episode kind of, I feel like, really takes structure out from under it in terms of its overall theme that I was going for. Like, but it's funny now, like, going back in these later seasons, there definitely feels like an almost war going on in the writer's room between, like, Ted and Robin and that relationship and how the ending was going to be, because there's, like, a lot of inconsistencies between Ted's thought process for his relationship with Robin and Barney's thought process with the relationship with Robin. It's interesting to watch. Show's still really funny. It's still really good to watch.
I watched some episodes recently, like the first few episodes, and I was like, man, like, all these people suck, but I think Ted might be my least favorite. Like, he kills me, bro. Ted kills me.
You definitely have to let them cook.
Yeah.
It's like every character has, like, season 1 jitters.
I feel like, because I asked y'all what your favorite characters were. Collectively, all of you dislike Robin and Lily, and I'm like, okay, I see how it is.
I think disliking Robin's...
But there's Robin and then a power gap is the vibe I got.
Yeah, there's a gap.
But I was like, I don't know about Ted and Barney, man. I don't know.
So a big part of the show is the growth between these characters. Like, the whole thing is... The whole theme leading up to the very end is very much like Ted growing up and realizing that the big thing about the show is that you're not going to get exactly what you want in your life, but you will get it eventually if you keep fighting for it. But you don't know what it's going to look like. And that's like a big sticking point for the show, and like all the characters like come to that. I think it's a really good theme throughout. So I've just been really enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of jokes still hold up. There's an episode where they have to, like, there's this woman that's stalking Barney and, like, basically, like, cock blocking him wherever they go, and they do a March Madness bracket of all the women he's slept with, and it's just like us arguing over Game of the Year and shit. It's so funny.
Well, that's, I think ours is in good fun for what it's worth.
This one is too.
This one's twisted. Next.
So next up I have, so this December, Games Workshop, creators of Warhammer 40k, did like a very unprecedented thing where so every December they do something called Grotmas, which is like they do some like a lot of teasers, or like they just show off a lot of things for the next coming year. This year, instead of like doing any kind of like previews, they're like, we're not going to do any previews this year. Instead, every faction in the game is going to get entirely new rules to play the game, and they release them one day at a time. And it was very, very exciting and very, very cool.
That's a cool marketing too.
Yeah, and like it's and they and like my two factions, Orcs and Space Marines, got two really great detachments. It's kind of like your subclass for your faction, so I'm really excited to try them and play them. I'd have to change some things up in my armies and add some stuff, but they looked really, really good. The other thing is that they did a huge balance status slate at the very last second of the year, which they had never done before. And they buffed both of my armies, which is great because one of them had an appalling win rate, and just really shifted the meta like right before January, which is really nice because January is like next week is the Las Vegas Open, which is like a really big Warhammer tournament that's happening. So they gave like a whole month between now and then for this meta to like kind of develop, and so people are really excited to see how it's going to be. But overall, like I feel really excited to play 40K after this break. I'm doing my first RTT with this new data slate, this new balance update this Saturday, so I'm excited to play that. That does mean I have to paint another yellow guy because suddenly something I had that wasn't good before is now good. So back to pain.
There's no end for you.
No, there is no end. But very excited for that. Very happy how that turned out. How do we know Ippo's on here? That was more of a joke. That's more of like I've been taking up boxing.
Oh,
yeah. I wrote as Jojimi no Ippo.
Yeah, but I thought it meant that you were watching Hajime no Ippo.
No, but no, I've been doing boxing the past month now. It's
boxed yesterday.
Really, yeah, I did that yesterday, too, and I've been really, really enjoying it. Like a lot more than I originally anticipated. Like it was something like I needed to do, something that was active, but like something I could develop, but not something that relied on other people to like do. You know. Not like pickleball or like rock climbing or something that you need to partner with. This is great because like I just go there, I take the class, and then I leave. And it's right around the corner from my house. I feel so much better now after just a month of doing it, like just being active, like pretty active twice a week. Man, it's kicked my ass.
Dude, it wears you the fuck out.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was looking at this like calories burned per hours chart, and it was like walking, jogging, and then like mountain biking and shit like that. And at the top of the chart, it was like in like just 30 minutes of like nonstop moving boxing.
Yeah,
will wreck you.
Yeah. So like the way the workout goes is that it's 7 minutes of warm up, which is like, depending on you have, can be fucking awful. Like I have Anthony on Mondays, and he is like 90% squats. Like you're just squatting the entire time. And so it's like 7 minutes of that. And then 30 minutes of doing actual boxing workout where you're punching the bag, you're moving back and forth, you're doing combos. And then finally you have 7 minutes at the end that is just pure abs and strength workout. It's really funny, like during the boxing portions, they're like, all right, you're going to do 1, 2, slip, 3, 4, roll. And like my brain like just fucking like changes in my head to like combo routes. In like Tekken or in like Street Fighter, like I see the buttons in my head when I'm trying to like.
You're doing a Tekken string, do.
Yeah, and so but it's been really good. My biggest regret for the holiday season was like I didn't ask for any boxing equipment or anything like that, and I really wish I asked for like better boxing gloves. I bought like the $30 like shitty ones, but my aunt like just kind of took a Hail Mary of a present for me. She bought me some nice boxing shoes, and they've been really good in terms of just like.
Nice.
Being very light but tight on my feet. They suck when you try to do any other kind of workout like push-ups because of the way they're made, but like in terms of like the actual like moving around the bag, they feel great. So that's been tons of fun, and it's been really like a great like thing to like just something that keeps a rhythm to my week. I watched this documentary called Muscles of Mayhem. This is about American Gladiators, like the original run. This documentary was so great. It was so wholesome. Like, it really was just like they all like kind of like it was unofficial. So like it wasn't like overlooked by any of the like people directly in charge of American Gladiators, but like all the people were there like, yeah, it was a fun time. This is what I'm doing now, and yada yada. Really cool documentary just to see like how this like big sensation of America like got brought about, and then like what happened to it, and it was just really just a nice little wholesome like kind of documentary to watch after the Vince McMahon documentary, which was a little bit appalling in some places. And then finally, I watched Transformers 1 late at night on a whim.
I hear that's really good.
It's really good. I would say the first 30 minutes are kind of like very much like, I wouldn't say generic, but they're pretty much like family movie, like what you expect.
Now, hold on. When this says Transformers 1, is this like those other half dozen things that are named 1, but it's actually like not 1?
What do you mean? What do you like?
Well, isn't there like Xbox One, Mortal Kombat 1, Godzilla 1? Isn't that like a thing?
Well, there's Godzilla -1, and it has nothing to do with the number 1, really.
Okay, that's okay. They put the word minus in there, so I'll take it.
So, yes, this is like kind of like how Optimus Prime becomes the leader of the Autobots, and how Megatron becomes leader of the Decepticons. And the marketing for this movie was awful. Like it was hot garbage. I don't know if y'all watched any of the trailers. Like it was real bad. Let me tell you, the last 45 minutes of this movie is fucking awesome. It's so good. The guy who plays Megatron kills it. Like he has this like vitriol and anger towards the end of the movie that's just like really justified. It's got a really strong message. It's got some hype moments as well. Overall, fantastic. I think you should all watch it. Like you'd be surprised, like, oh my god, they're really saying some shit. It's kind of crazy.
I believe it's on the ever expanding to watch list.
Yep, just add to the wheel one day. But yeah, that's me.
Cool. Fastest quickies in the West. Who wants to follow up that incredible performance by Joel Lloyd?
I could hit it.
Oh, but can you quit it?
No. But so I've had a couple really fun things going on. I decided to boot up a new save file of Animal Crossing Wild World for the DS. Because one of my coworkers also has a copy. So we're like, oh, we can just trade at work every day and shit and visit each other's shops. So I'm trying to like relearn like I don't know, every Animal Crossing game is a little bit different. You know, like New Horizons, this is the island one, everything's totally customizable. Or there's like New Leaf, in this one you're the mayor and you have to like set the budget and schedules and shit like that. Wild World, obviously, it has less features than the other ones. One thing I was really mad about actually is they don't have Christmas as a holiday, which I think all the other ones do. I think they got rid of a bunch of the holidays, and I think I saw some people online say it was like they were rushing to get the game out and like the localization team just couldn't do some of the holidays. I don't know. Now what this game does amazing, I noticed this myself and I went online to see if anyone else had the same opinion, and it was a resounding yes. The dialogue in Wild World is just better than any other game in the series.
I remember it being pretty like cheeky.
Dude, like Animal Crossing New Horizons, the villagers kind of fucking suck. There's exactly 3 personalities. There's like sporty, lazy, and like diva or something. And even within those 3 personalities, there's like 5 stock phrases. And so I feel like in New Horizons, I feel like I'm constantly walking around and just talking to the same people, and they're always saying the same shit. And it's always just so milquetoast. In Wild World, sometimes these villagers just don't give a fuck. Like, I was talking to one of them, and they ended the conversation with, if you don't want to make a fool of yourself, it might be better to just keep your mouth closed. And I was like, fuck you. And then, like, there was another one, I was talking to one of my villagers, and, like, you've been running around all day catching bugs and fish. Like, stop. You don't have to work so hard. Stop being such a little capitalist. Just enjoy your life, dude. And I don't know. It's been making Wild World very, very fun. I actually want to talk to the villagers, which I never found myself doing in the newer games.
Wild World was my first Animal Crossing. Oh, I've only played 2 Animal Crossings. It's Wild Worlds and New Horizons, so Nice. Yeah,
I mean,
I think I mentioned
if you're
this.
only gonna play 2, those are good ones.
I feel like my favorite though would have been New Leaf. There was something about it. I think
I played the fuck out of that one.
The town management seems cool, and that's the one that Reggie says. Reggie feels at me. Goes, that's enough for me. I gotta go play Animal Crossing New Leaf on my Nintendo 3DS, and for some reason that just sticks with me. Like, you go, Reggie.
I've been resisting the urge to say variants of that since I started playing this game.
I got you, dog. I got you covered.
My other quickie is I got Emmy to start watching the Dandadan anime, which we've been like watching during dinner time, and it was a very expected hit. I mean, like, I think both me and everyone at our work was like, this anime is like literally made for you.
Yeah.
And I think since the last time we talked, I got a little bit further in the manga. I got past our Loch Ness Monster encounter, which like, I think I mentioned this to you guys at Game of the Year, where reading Dandadan gives me a particular feeling I've only ever gotten from Junji Ito manga, which in particular is just like, there will be a setup, and before you turn the page, you already know that the mangaka is trying to jump scare you with something. It's going to be a monster, and your mind will go crazy trying to imagine what this is, every single possibility, and it's going to be something that never even entered your mind. Like, I never expected to see the fucking Loch Ness Monster when I turned that page.
You're about to hit the pinnacle of that if you read a little further. Like, you're edging me, because this is like the arc, I think, that's like well and above anything that comes before it. The one that you're about to go, and season 1 ends right at the start there in a really weird ending spot, as you'll see. But
so Dandadan has been going fantastic.
Nice.
I also had to rewatch. I haven't started Squid Game season 2 yet. I just finished rewatching season 1 because I was like, I guarantee there's going to be things that happen there that I forget, which there was.
That might serve you, but season 2 is like, I'll talk about season 2 later. But I feel like it's pretty, like, you could jump on and watch season 2 alone. Also, like, is my take on that. But
it was funny, like as soon as I had finished talking, I was like, well, at the same time, I'm like, all but one character from season 1 is dead, so maybe I was like, maybe it's
as long as you have someone to explain that, like, that guy runs the Squid Games, and that guy recruits people for the Squid Games. That's all you really need to know to get started with season 2. But cool. Anything else, Bradley?
That's about it for now.
Sorry to say, Joe, you've been bested in the fastest quickies in the West by one truly, and I'll go now. Let's see. So we watched some Ep.97 after we did our big Game of the Year episode. Really good. We were really into it, and I went ahead and finished the whole season that same Sunday night. Yeah, fantastic. Joe was right. It's very stupid as well, but it's also X-Men, so it's like, that's what I signed up for. Magneto Goat, of course, as always. The final villain is really cool, and the voice actor was killing it. Really fun. And
that villain was like, when I made a list of my top 5 X-Men villain. That villain and the Sentinels in general are number 1, and I think partially Ep.97 did that, but the Krakoa era also has a focus on them, and I think more and more they've become very developed and interesting thought for X-Men.
I used to think they were pretty lame.
Same.
Because my Sentinel experience is, there's that annoying guy in Marvel 2 and 3, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and 3. Why is he in the roster? He's just a dumb robot. X-Men 97 really puts the fear of God into you. Because, while they are disposable grunts, there are some Sentinels that are horrifying. And also, the end goal of the Sentinel program is a sideways evolution of humanity that's man-made and not, X-gene made. And that's really horrifying in its own way. They get really creepy with that. Highly recommend all of y'all watch it as Joe did as well.
Cable.
I was getting really into it when I walked in and y'all were watching it because I hadn't seen any of it and y'all were already a few episodes into the season. But I was like, oh shit, this is good.
Riley walked in and like he missed the one critical episode that would have cleared up like one of the most confusing parts of that season, which is the two genes.
Oh my god, that first episode I watched when I was sitting there, I was like, hold on.
There's 2 of them? Damn, Scott, you get to have 3 girlfriends?
2?
2? Alright, then, because it was the end of the year, I booted up Netflix to watch Squid Games. Every time I finish a Netflix show, it's time to go back into the trash can and pick out the next section of reality TV shows for me to throw on the back. And I did The Circle Season 7. It's more The Circle. I love going to Circle discussions, and they're like, I hate was everyone always this loud? Why are there so many hashtags? And I'm like, they've always been annoying influencer idiots. Like that's the show. Like you have to have a tolerance of it by now. Good season, good winners, good laughs. And then I watched The Mole Season 2. I'm actually on the last episode still. I think I know who it is. I think I've known who it is for a while, but we'll see if I'm right. The Mole was that show where it's a group of people. They're competing to win prizes, but one of the people is a mole who is secretly trying to diminish how much they earn and like take away from the prize pot. And that seems simple enough, but then players will start self-sabotaging to trick other people to make them think they're the mole, because the only way to get out of the show is at the end of each episode they have a quiz, and if you are the furthest from like putting in who the mole is in the quiz, you go home. So the mole can never leave, but the players can. So it works out that way. Yeah, really good. Good stuff. I've been reading Grace of Kings. Joe peer pressured me into it. Yeah. This book is phenomenal so far. I am worried at any moment that I'll lose the plot for too long and like kind of like get caught up in the whirlwind of like conflicts and characters. Yeah. It hasn't happened yet, but I am in a constant fear that it will happen, because there's already been characters where it's like I stop the recording, and if I'm driving, I have to like voice like message like, okay, new character introduced, they're this, so I can look at it later in case I forget who it is, and then that character dies in 2 chapters, and I'm like, oh, they weren't that important, and I was like freaking out over nothing, and like that's always a constant fear.
You would be very surprised. There are a lot of characters who die in this book, but are very important in the next book still.
There's a character who was like being built up as like quite the antagonist.
Yeah.
And then a dude shows up and one-shots him, just taps him, and I'm like, oh! Like, so maybe he'll get more relevance, and like maybe, God, I forgot that woman, but you know, the one that did the thing, Kikumi. Man. Yeah. Dude, some of the characters here, like, the thing that gets me with this book, the pacing is really fast. It feels like an epic. Like you know how One Piece feels like a legend, but like you're still in the moment to moment? This is even a step beyond that, where it's like, you're really churning through these events, but you're still getting like prime characterization for the characters. Because I feel like the fear would be like, oh, you're moving too fast for me to actually care about the characters, but that's not really the case, thankfully.
Yeah. I will say this book and the timeline of it takes place over 10 years.
Okay, so I was wondering how fast time is moving. Yeah. Like, how old is oh my god, my favorite character, what's his name?
Mata.
Kuni. Dude, Kuni's the fucking GOAT.
Oh my god, I cannot wait for you to get to the end. So
and then Mata and Finn were also like very like, dude. When the book locked me in was that scene of like little Mata and Finn. After they leave the wreckage of like their fallen kingdom, and like they see a burning flag and they vow that moment, and he's like, even the baby knows that like he needs to lock in, and I'm like, okay, I the reader have locked in as well.
Okay, so Willer, can you very quickly just tell me what chapter you're on?
Yes.
So I want to.
They just finished a very resounding victory.
Okay.
It's chapter 30, Master of Pawn.
Okay. We're getting to the real.
I look down and the chapter 33, the real Master of Pawn. Okay, I've seen enough.
Yeah. We're at the like, I would say like that. You're at the halfway point of the book now. I would say, I think, so Ken Liu, I think really does a good job in the first half of the book, of his book so far, where he's setting a lot of stuff up, and then the second half hits, and you realize how much he's actually set up via his characterization and the politics and the poems. Like,
see, I fear that I missed like some political stuff at some point, or like didn't commit it to memory.
The good thing is that he will bring it back up.
Okay, cool.
In a very nice, like, way of like, remember this, and it doesn't feel like degrading to you. It feels like, oh yes, I do. Okay, all this is like
that. That's all. I mean, he's already brought back that's a horse, not a deer, like stuff like that.
That was a horse, my dude.
God, like the prose is fantastic. That is the main thing about this book. Like it just feels so cool, and like everything feels like the way that he builds up to the crescendo of like this, and then this event ended like this. Like the way that he spearheads whatever he's building up to in that current like story beat is always like executed perfectly. It's really good. Like Hikomi's like ending, like the way they built up to her realization there at the end, super cool. Anyways, there will be more. This is my current book, and then I would do Stormlight 5, which is crazy to think, but that's where we're headed.
The new Stormlight came out, right?
It did, yeah. Ryan's been reading it. He says it's very long. I think it's a 60-hour book.
I think they each are longer than the one before it.
Yeah, that motherfucker can't stop. He's Oda with the arcs. Just always longer. Quick little drop in Egghead. 80 chapters later. Squid Games 2 is Squid Games done right. Like, to me, this is objectively the better season.
Damn.
I like notoriously, and I really wish you watched it, Bradley, because I wanted to have a full discussion with you, because you're the guy who actually liked Squid Game Season 1. I liked it, but you, like, loved it, right? Like, for me, it was like a 3 or 3.5.
Yeah, for me, it's probably like a 4 or 4.5 or something.
So, like, ultimately, I didn't think this season should have existed. I wasn't excited for it, but I gave it a try. Episode 1's going really slow, ends really well. Episode 2 and 3, building up, and then from 3 onwards, like, peak Squid Games.
Let's fucking go.
You could make the argument that this is a do-over of Season 1, but improved. Like, it is following a lot of the beats, but the characters are vastly better. Like, I didn't stick with really anyone in Season 1. The cast of Season 2 is phenomenal. The games are much more creative. There's a twist they do this time, Bradley. They can vote to leave any round. And they make that very clear. Which then creates a system of people that vote yes or no every round. Which creates a two-party system within the Squid Games. And suddenly, with all the themes that they were already doing last season, and they're doing it better now, you also have this theme of, like, the divide that they will put into the people that they're exploiting, and, like, politics within this system. It's fascinating.
Man, this is just making me... I want someone to make Virtue's Last Reward a game show now.
That would be fucked. How are they going to do the time travel, I wonder? I don't know.
Well, don't worry about that.
Ji-hoon's is a more interesting protagonist. There's like a really good antagonist this season as well. It is frustrating that like, so Ji-hoon's thing is like he's back in the games. He's trying to help the people there. He's doing what he can, and like they're 85% of the way getting him to say the things that he should say to sway people on his side, but they're leaving out 15% of things that the writer's like, okay, why don't you say this to dissuade them? Why don't you do this to help them? So he's like almost doing it, so like he comes off as a little incompetent. And I will also note, Season 2 was supposed to be a bigger season than this is, but they split it into 2. So the first 7 episodes is the first half of what was essentially a Season 2 that they filmed. So there will be a Season 3, and it'll be the final one until the American spinoff, which I think they've already hinted at. But Season 3 will be basically the second half of this storyline. So don't expect a really big conclusion. It does definitely end on a cliffhanger. But it's a good cliffhanger. Next season's going to be wild. Pretty excited for it. And that's what I got. Tyler, your go.
Got some cool stuff.
I do. So I'm glad to hear you're excited for Squid Game's American season, but it's already come out. It's called Mr. Beast Games.
Yeah. Oh my god, I get an ad for it every fucking time I turn on my Roku TV.
Two things about that. One, I'm not excited about it. Two, you're very right. But they're also gonna make they're gonna make an American version of the Squid Games too, and like that's gonna be too much at that point. But I'll watch it and see.
I like how single-handedly Netflix is creating it's okay to split a single season into two halves. Like, fuck you.
I will give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know. It would have been a very big season. They would have had to do more post-production. It'll come out in a couple months. So yeah, it's like David Dan. It'll come out in 6 months.
A couple things. I watched a movie called Afraid with AI in the middle of it, capitalized. This is a bad movie. Don't watch it. I don't even want to it's like evil Alexa. It's like if Alexa took over the entire world and blackmailed everybody, like with everything. She was just like, you know the episode. Okay, y'all don't know this, but there's an episode of Rick and Morty where the dinosaurs come back, and it's just like, relax, take a seat, don't worry about it. That's kind of Alexa. She's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Like, I'll just take over life for you. But she also is like manipulating everybody with like misinformation. She's like, yeah, and it's weird. Like, there's a point in the movie where the husband gets a new job and becomes the CEO of his company because the company they're working with bought them out, and they're like essentially getting rid of his boss. But he's like, I don't want this. He's like, well, you have it now. Screw you. I'm filthy rich. Peace out. And he's like, oh, okay. It was a bad movie. Don't watch it. Don't recommend.
What's the letterbox score?
I don't even know. One star, half star. There's nothing really appealing about.
God damn.
I would never rewatch this again if it was on. Like, this is the type of movie I imagine playing on the TV at a bus station. That's my final review.
The type of movie I'd see playing at a bus station.
This is like let's see what movies are playing on my flight, and this is the one movie they have, and you're like, oh, I'll take a nap.
You know what's fucked up, Bradley, is I did watch it on my flight.
Hey,
that's what's even more messed up.
Did you ever finish Kinds of Kindness? That's a movie I watched. It's good.
I watched the first part, and then I didn't want to watch anymore.
Okay. It's a good movie.
It is a weird movie.
No animals were harmed. Tyler got to a part. He's like, Willard, does the cat die? I usually Google if the cat dies. You have to tell me if he does. We're in a plane.
And he couldn't tell me, so
I said no. I even rewatched it. I was like, okay, I can confirm the cat doesn't die. And then the motherfucker didn't watch it, so I was like, thanks.
I didn't believe him.
I could have been playing more Balatro.
I've been rewatching some anime, and watching some new ones. So I'm watching Yu Yu Hakusho for the first time.
Sick.
This is a very interesting one because Yu Yu Hakusho is 92 to 94, I believe.
Mm-hmm. It's before, it's what he worked on before Hunter x Hunter.
It's very interesting to see not just Hunter x Hunter, but a lot of tropes Yu Yu Hakusho is kind of establishing in Battle Shonen.
Yeah.
And a lot of tropes that are carried over into like very casual animes now.
In my opinion, it's like, while Dragon Ball did the tournament arc first, I feel like Yu Yu Hakusho kind of mastered the tension of the tournament arc. I don't think you're there yet.
I'm not, no.
There is a very famous arc called the Dark Tournament. To me, I think of that. Also, I remember something because you were talking about old manga. This is a complete aside. We were talking about the calorie burning charts, and like boxing does a lot. Karaoke is really up there, and I learned that from Toriko. Ooh. Everybody read Toriko. Okay, alright. Go
on. Which is going on to another anime I've been rewatching, actually, which is Mashal. I originally did not like this one, but I think it's because I watched it in Japanese. Been rewatching it in English this time with Kelly. This show's a lot funnier in English. This is one of the dubbed superior comedy animes.
Many such cases, I must say.
I think comedies are much better dubbed than they are subbed for anime because there really is a cultural boundary that you don't you can't understand as someone that doesn't understand the language. Like the way that things are timed or emphasized, right? Like it's just one of those things. So I think that part.
I don't know what you're talking about, Joe. I speak fluent Japanese after I went there.
Yeah, Joe, you gotta be careful because we're gonna live there. You're being kind of rude.
All right, I'm sorry. Anyways,
so it's interesting because Matchel and Yu Yu Hakusho kind of have like, here's the 4 idiots as like their main cast.
I love a 4 idiot cast.
It is a 4 idiot cast.
Wait, we're a 4 idiot cast.
Oh shit!
We are a 4 idiot
We
cast.
should have named it that.
oh, good thing we got our podcast title now.
Oh, fantastic!
You know what?
We're doing well. We haven't skipped a beat.
So it's been a fun. It's been an interesting time. Let's see. Finished up a rewatch of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood recently as well.
Peak.
It continues to be peak. As I've aged, and I think I watch it like every 5 years. It's like, yep, this is as good as the first time I watched it.
I
This
need
doesn't
to.
get any worse.
I've never rewatched it, and I think I should soon.
You absolutely should. It doesn't change. It's still just as good. And then I've been watching a new one. This is my new isekai I've been watching. I've never watched it before, but it is one of the most popular because I see it everywhere.
Oh, I know what it is.
Do you know what it is, Joe?
Shangri-La Frontier.
No, but I haven't watched. Okay, side note. I'm on season 2 because season 2 has been airing. It's live right now.
Okay.
Shangri-La Frontier is not an isekai, first of all.
Oh.
Second of all, it is slowly becoming one of my favorite animes of all time. It's
Whoa.
just fun.
Man, okay, I need y'all to update the. Where did we put like the ongoing anime list? You know what?
Ooh.
February, lock it in. February, we're doing it.
I'll say we've been talking about it for a long ass time.
It'll be time.
It's time.
But yeah, Shangri-La Frontier is just fun. I love it. The animation quality is actually up there, like, consistently. Like, first season came out last year. Second, and it was like 25 episodes long. Season 2 has been coming out this year. It's like on episode 38. It's still good animation. I'm like, damn, they're up there. But I've been watching ReZero. Have y'all watched this? Have you heard about this?
This is the one
Yes.
that I've watched a little bit because a friend of mine recommended it to me. I feel like the key point I needed to watch more because I think it's about like Subaru's growth, and I didn't quite get there.
Oh. Let me tell you, Willer.
Okay, tell me. It is ReZero, right? I'm not capping.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
You would think that this show is about growth.
Oh no.
This is one of the worst protagonists I have. Like, he is Midoriya tier.
Okay, first of all, you hate Midoriya like a weird amount, but also those are fighting words. I know, like, if you go online, you see Subaru diehards, like he's literally me.
I don't want to know those people in my life.
They're like Jimmy from Mouthwashing going. They're literally.
I do not know. Jimmy from Mouthwashing, not as bad as Subaru.
Wow. Okay.
Very close.
That's a
Very
big
close,
bar.
actually. I would put them in the same Venn diagram circle.
Damn. Peak
Yeah,
Protex.
dude. I am almost done with season 1 of the director's cut, which is 14-hour-long episodes, by the way.
Huh.
14-hour-long episode.
No, I heard it too, but my mind did it right.
Yeah. Okay.
Imagine.
But, like, I guess, like, midway through, he just becomes, like, the worst. This guy is the app. And, like, they even have what would have been an entire 30-minute episode of him and another character standing still in one spot the whole time. I love a good sitting in a room talking episode of an anime. They're usually about politics. These two people, this guy is talking about why he's a piece of shit, and then his abusive love interest who's like, you are a piece of shit, but you also have these other endearing qualities, like, I love you, teehee. Like, the only reason I'm still watching it is, first of all, it's a binge I can do right now. there is an interesting plot. Like, what is happening to the main character is interesting, but it is losing steam.
Mm-hmm. I do hear season 2 is the better one, so I think so. I don't know. Hopefully, it turns around for you.
It's unfortunate that I'm probably in the weird camp. Like, people who like ReZero probably like Mushoku Tensei, and Joe, I've told you with an asterisk. You get past, like, you know those first few episodes of Mushoku Tensei, Joe, where you're like, this guy is a creep.
Yeah.
Like, it ends after those 5 episodes. It like, you kind of forget that this guy's been isekai'd a little bit.
Well, Tyler, I got some news for you. I did watch Mushoku Tensei.
Oh, you finished it?
I watched the first season. I think I'm halfway through the second one.
Do you ever forget he's been isekai'd?
Always. No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I never forget.
Okay.
The opposite.
I always know he's there. Who he is.
Okay. True. Fair.
Is it the baby guy?
Yes.
It's the baby guy.
I hate this show. I'm putting this one in D tier.
But he's a baby.
Yeah.
No, but he's a dirty man.
He's a baby, but I am the atomic bomb, and he is going into D tier.
He got mentally stunted growth at the age of like 13 and never aged past it.
Yeah, many such cases.
Yeah. So that's my anime I've been watching, and then I played a little game called Space Marine 2. This is on the spectrum of there's this Warhammer animated series that an animator does on YouTube where the Space Marines are constantly in a war of killing and trying to genocide all the furries in the galaxy. Which is, you know, like, as I'm going into anime to Space Marine, it makes me feel very happy because Space Marine 2 is a super fun game.
Yeah.
This game has been great. I've never wanted to parry so much in my life.
Yeah.
I see the little circle appear on the screen, and I'm like, do it, you fucking coward. Do it. It's gritty. It's satisfying. So playing this game helps me understand why Joe played 100 hours of Helldivers 2 in the first week.
Yeah.
Because if this game had the same cinematic intensity as Helldivers and like the heaviness to the Helldivers, this would have probably been one of the best games ever made.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah.
It's probably out by now, but it scored pretty high in the one game of the year list that matters, which is ours. So.
Yeah. All right. I take prize for longest quickies.
Yeah.
No, pretty good.
You get a cookie.
Sub-hour quickie. We're back. The dream is alive. So this one is an interesting topic because it's been a while since it's happened, and we've like shared stories since. But I guess we'll do an abridged version here. Me and Tyler went to Japan.
Yay!
We went to our wannabe homeland.
Yeah, we're official Japanese citizens now, or on the way. It was delightful. The people are so nice. Everything's so clean. There's no garbage dirt to be seen.
Best word, garbage dirt, and donde deska.
Donde deska is...
Oh, Tyler told me about that. That made me laugh.
Yeah, did he tell you he made it up? Because he loves twisting the truth.
Dude, I swear on my life, I thought I said it out loud.
He says, and I quote, "Wheeler's too smart for that." Oh, this is the one time I'm too smart, huh? When it's humor time? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You would never say something so stupid.
Watch, I'll do it again. Yeah, so we went like 2 weeks before we did Game of the Year, but like there was just no time to squeeze in anything since. So it's like it's a bit old by now. I still got to do like an Instagram post of my favorite pictures because I'm legally allowed to, and I guess it's normal to do so, even if it's late. But yeah, we went for 10 days. We went to
Tokyo, Kyoto,
Osaka, Tokyo. So like each time we went, like we focused a day in different areas. And yeah, Tyler, you talk about some of your favorites and like most interesting tidbits.
We did the very most typical what you could imagine your first time in Japan would be, but it was great. Like I think that's a very good time.
We had a pretty stacked itinerary, and very little got cut in the grand scheme of things. We went to
except Fuji, which was very sad.
Yeah, well, we had to cut Fuji even before the trip because we were looking at the logistics. But like as we were taking the bullet train past Fuji, you really regret not going to Fuji. That thing is so cool looking.
I always regretted not going to Fuji.
It's Fuji.
So, fun fact, we walked 87 miles in 9.5 days.
God damn.
Yeah, it was great. I think our peak mileage for one day was 11.75 and was our first day actually there.
First real day there, really?
Yeah, first real day. Yep.
We walked all across Ueno. We went to the Sky Tower, and then we also walked. Where did we go at night that day?
Ueno Park.
Ooh, Ueno Koen. I want to shout out Nara. It is a city where there's just deer walking around, and it's like a magical fairyland. It's about 40 minutes to an hour off of Kyoto, and if you're ever in Kyoto, very much take a day trip to Nara, because then you also get to go to the Great Buddha Temple, which pictures do not do justice. Seeing that statue up close will make you come to terms with reality, and like it is like genuinely a life-changing like building and statue to see for some reason. Like I can't really put it into words. It's really cool.
It really makes you understand the power of dominating countries and using their resources to build monuments.
I guess that's one way to look at it. I was like, cool, people made that.
You ain't paying for that. That's all I'm saying. That's your reward. Those are the spoils of war.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, we did a bunch of shopping in the second half in Tokyo.
Shopping was so fun.
They shopped till the shopping vibes are so good that even I, who does not like buying trinkets and stuff, bought stuff. So
I loved clothes shopping. I found one of my new favorite stores there. They're all about red pandas and black cats. That's like my new favorite brand.
Tyler got a sick ass jacket from there. It's very much his vibe.
Yeah.
As for the Kyoto part, like that has a ton of cool castles and like temples to visit. It's where you go where like it's like how many temples can there be and like are they all impressive? Do they continue to be impressive? And they really do. Like there's something like different about all of them. There was one that like was one of the prettiest at the top of Gion, which is like this huge tourist street. Tyler, there were so many people. Tyler actually like it was the one time in the trip he got claustrophobic and like.
Right.
Had to like sit down for a little bit.
It was not like out of country tourists. It like honestly, Gion and Kyoto was packed from street to street with like
Students.
Field trips.
Yeah,
student field trips.
So many field trips. It was interesting to see. Yeah, not that many tourists. We went to both main Yakuza locations. We went to Dotonbori, which is Sotenbori, and we went to Kabukicho, which is Kamurocho, and we befriended some of the barkeeps there.
They gave us souvenirs.
Yeah, we got souvenirs. It was great. I took pictures with like the cool like mural at the Dotonbori. Yeah, it was just delightful. I will definitely be going back. I can now be a tour guide for people that haven't been as an excuse to go. So
I will say, every restaurant we ate at was better than the next.
I like the okonomiyaki place we ate pretty early on. Quite a bit.
Oh yeah, no, that place was great too. Like all the food was good.
But near the end, we ate at like this Kill Bill themed restaurant that had really good food. Even like we had train station food the last day, and it was a really good soba noodle, which is like chilled noodles. Very weird, but very good. We had really good ramen. Me and Austin, our other friend that went with us, we went to one of those like prepared meals. What are they called? Like there's a word for them.
Chef's course.
It's like a full course meal, but there's like a there's like a Japanese name for it. We went and like the chef. It was just us and the chef for like a good chunk of the meal before anyone showed up. So we just like in broken Japanese and through the power of Google Phone and through his English, we just like talked a ton, and it was such a rewarding experience. Like talking to the locals is one of the best things you can do.
That's cool.
As difficult as it is, but like Fujiwara-san. Look them up if you're ever there, like in near Osaka. It's delicious. Really good sushi, but we also ate like weird shit like turtle soup. We ate horse meat, like raw horse. It was actually weirdly like tasty. We ate that blowfish that kills you, and we died.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's just like, and then we ended with like this super delicious like rice and seared fish bowl. Our the friend that went with me, he doesn't eat much raw sushi. Thankfully, there wasn't too much of that in the course, but like he struggled a little bit with that. But you know, he toughed it out. I had a great time.
I loved all the skewers that we had and tempura. And I'm not a ramen guy, but I found out I do have a favorite called sukamen. I think sukamen.
It is a type of ramen where it's noodles and then a dipping broth, and it is better, right? Like it is.
It's better.
Yeah,
it is better.
I've seen that.
Yeah, those places are in the U.S. So if you ever get a chance, I actually do prefer that to normal ramen. I think.
Yeah. Oden noodles are udon noodles are
thick boys.
Yeah, they're the best noodle by far.
I like how thick they are, but I feel like they're like extra squishy.
Oh, I think Tyler might be talking about soba noodles is the best.
Because I like a firmer nude.
I do like that. Soba is my favorite noodle. I don't think you had udon, Tyler. I had udon that when we went to that market and I ate alone because I got lost from y'all. But
yeah, it was a great time. I know y'all have been curious. I have not told anybody about this yet. Y'all have been waiting for the peak McDonald's in Japan review.
Oh, we went twice.
We did. We went a few times.
I went.
It was necessary to keep us alive some days. 3.5 stars out of 5.
It's just McDonald's. They have burgers that are different, but like they're not gonna say like we went to a proper Japanese burger place. That was actually my favorite burger I might have had ever, because I got a really good one. Tyler seemed whelmed, but Sakura burger.
Yeah, Sakura burger
was really good for me.
They had a hickory smoked bacon Sakura smoked in Sakura flowers or something.
We got the teriyaki burger, like not that good. Like just get a Big Mac.
McDonald's, maybe 4 stars. Let's say this because you get a full meal there for $4.
Yeah, it was pretty. Oh, everything there was hella cheap. Like,
we don't want to. Do we really want to shit on the Japanese economy right now?
No, I mean we took advantage of it, but
we took advantage of it.
We've done our damage.
Honestly, I saw a report that said they might be starting to charge a tourist tax so that people visiting the country pay what they would expect normal prices to be. That like. Ratio to Japanese wages.
Let's not. Let's keep it going. Let's keep the good times rolling.
Dude, it's like 60% of the dollar.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. Pretty nice for food and shopping.
It is 0.63.
You look at the bill and it's like 25,000 yen, and like in your mind you're like $25. It's like no, it's like $16, $18. It's like, oh wow, that was nothing for how much I got.
3,100 yen is $20. It's crazy. Yeah. That's
all
like, right. I think all of our taxis we took were like less than that.
For like $15.
Yeah.
Anyways, that is the short version of the Japan trip. And yeah, it was great. Until next time, 2026, maybe 2025, maybe 2026. We'll see. Every year, baby. Joe, let's pass it on to you. You also had a adventure into a different realm.
Yes, so the week before they left, I went and participated at Games Workshop's grand narrative event.
And how was the McDonald's there?
We didn't go to McDonald's.
Damn.
We had Chick-fil-A about 2 or 3 times instead. But yeah, so this took place at the Grand Regency Hotel in Atlanta. And this happened coincided with the Warhammer World's Championship as well. So like they basically had like the way the building is structured is like it's like a 20-story tall building, and then it has like 3 floors underground that are all conference rooms and stuff. And we took up 2 of those floors entirely when it comes to like the narrative event stuff. It was also really funny because at the same time there was a college level Model United Nations event going on. So there'd be all of these college kids in suits and stuff walking around, and then there's us with our little men carrying our briefcases and our dudes to go to the next game we were going to play.
You know, the topics are not too far apart.
Yeah, weirdly. but it was a lot of fun. So like a big thing about the narrative event is that it's not like like a competitive thing. It's kind of what it is on tin. It's like a narrative RPG um experience that you get to do with your Warhammer armies. I spent the last this happened in November, so I spent from I think the end of August to halfway to November spending basically every day after work painting my Imperial Fist Space Marines. And I put this
You
is
have
the
to do
most
some of them during podcast. I remember. Like,
yeah, I had to build them at least.
Yeah.
Like yeah, it was hectic. And the thing is like so I started collecting Space Marines back in like 2014 or something like that. And at the time, what they started to do is they released these line of Space Marines called Primaris Marines, which were like souped up Space Marines. They were bigger, they had better sculpts, it looked really cool, but they were very much at the time like, hey, these are just bigger dudes. The regular Firstborn Space Marines are going to stick around. Flash forward to today, everything that's Firstborn is no longer usable. Like it's or like 95% of it. There's some stuff that you can still use, but like most of it you cannot use.
Is it because they're bad or because like
It's because they're bad because they don't make those models anymore, and some of them they just decide to not print rules for because they stopped making them. So what that meant was I had to basically rebuy my entire army, about 3,000 points worth, to play this event. And when I say rebuy, I did a lot of it through like secondhand trading with my friends. So like a lot of my Space Marines I got for like a 30 to 40% discount. Like only a few stuff I had to actually pay full price for. But it was a lot of fun. A big part of the game, the experience too, is that you track all the stuff that your units do. So like my captain, whose name was Tyranus Rex, he like I kept track of all the objectives he completed, all of the dudes he killed, everything that he did throughout the entire campaign, as well as his second in command, Lieutenant Iguanus Dawn. And yep, and just everything that they did. And so it's like an actual like RPG skill tree. Like you have like skill trees in the back of your books that you have to follow to like upgrade your stuff. It's a lot of bookkeeping. It's like weirdly like a lot more than you would originally think. And also there was like these what they're called. What are they called? They're like your main characters of the story. Like there's 3 factions. There's the Imperial faction, there's the Chaos faction, and then there's the Xenos faction. And so they have like actual like these characters there, and they give these speeches, and they come around to your tables and like can influence like how your tables operate. Like they might be like, oh, like for example, at one point, one of the orc war boss came to my table, and I happened to like have this relic that I picked up that I wasn't really using, so I traded it to him, and he gave me these teeth. And with these teeth, I could take him to any orc player I played and basically bribe him for the win or bribe him to do something during our game, which was a lot of fun. So a lot of cool narrative elements that happened throughout the course of the experience. Not a lot that I really want to get into. I think it's a whole bunch. So we're trying to keep these a lot shorter. But it was a lot of fun. I have never I think if I could go back in time and change one thing in my life, I would go back and I would tell myself, do not, for the love of God, decide that your Space Marine should be yellow.
Real.
Just don't do it.
Like, I thought you were gonna say if I could go back in time and tell myself anything, it would be every move my opponents are gonna make.
No, it's like, I don't think y'all have to realize this was like just so hard on the eyes, and just doing like yellow is so finicky because like any mistake you make on that model is highlighted essentially.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get off. So it's not like with my orcs who are like green and black and darker colors, I can go over with a suitable dark color. Yellow is already bright, so anything that's darker on it is going to stand out like a sore thumb. And it made everything so much longer and so much more excruciating. It made me question a lot of my life choices at the moment there. Like at multiple times during the whole pain process, I was just like, I should stop, give up, and actually start looking for jobs just because I need to get out of here. Like it just was.
Oh my god! Had you reevaluate your whole life?
Yeah. Like I legitimately was thinking, like if I could redo it, if everything else happened in my life exactly as it would, and my stuff would not be yellow, I'd be so much happier because this would be done. Because one of the things was, I didn't paint a lot of my Space Marines because they were yellow and they were hard, and now I had to do 3,000 points worth, which came out to be, I believe, 75 models over the course of 3 months. Kind of crazy. But now I have like a fully 3,000 point army. Like it's great. Like whenever I have to add something to it, it's like 1 or 2 models every once in a while now, rather than like the 70 I did in 3 months. So that's the one exciting part of it. But we had a great time, and ultimately at the end, our faction won the campaign. We were very happy about it because part of the reason was I did Space Marines and not Orcs. We were like, guys, we need to carry the fucking Imperials. Like they just are hot garbage. Like the last 2 or 3 of these events, they've gotten dead ass last. So I like to put the win on us. We were just that good. But I think next year we're all going to go with different armies because we just can't decide on what faction we want to run entirely. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Also, Atlanta, very cool and fun city, but a lot of homeless people. And they're comfortable. They're really comfortable to just be hanging out anywhere they want to. It's very strange.
Joe had an interesting story.
Yeah.
Just about like going out to a speakeasy.
Yeah, it was just like,
that shit was cracking me up.
Long story short is I got harassed for 45 minutes because this guy thought I worked in IT and I was the reason AI was being created essentially. And why?
Joe, you work in IT though.
Yes, I work in IT.
You do. You work in IT.
It was a lot of fun. I have a lot of pictures from my little men and the stuff that they did.
So your little men are yellow now.
Yes.
Are you life locked into yellow? Like, let's be. You're not gonna repaint those fuckers. You're a yellow.
He's got to spend another few months
renewing it all. Yellow. If I make another Space Marine army, I could potentially do it. But like, they are like right now. I'm doing like a local event this Saturday, and one of the characters that I have, I didn't paint up for this narrative event because any named character in the setting doesn't get experience points when you do a narrative event, so I didn't take him. And B, he just really wasn't that good. But after December, with the balance data slate and the big patch update for the game, he's now very viable potentially, and potentially really, really good. So now I have to paint him up. I'm going to be doing that Friday for this tournament. But it's only one guy, so it should go a lot faster and a lot easier. But yeah, it was tons of fun. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I was going to originally. And yeah, it was we're already planning on doing it again. So yeah, tons of fun.
Oh boy. Yeah. Joe painting Arc 2.
Yep. Well, the good news is that I already have 2 armies done. Like, because I also did it for the GT I went to in Dallas. So now it's going to be a lot less I'll have to do overall.
Until you decide to start from scratch.
Yeah.
It could happen. You never know.
That's a strong possibility. I've been hankering for a 3rd army.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Anyways.
Nice. Seems like a really unique and fun thing. Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's
okay, despite the drastic amounts of work.
So I posted. Actually, I'll do 2 things. One, I'll post this. This is their live blog they did of the event. So this chronicles all of the events that happened during all the updates and everything.
Ooh, maybe I'll try to throw this in the description here.
Man, there were some great cosplays, by the way, of people and the shit they were wearing. I posted the 3 leaders of each faction in our Discord. This pirate woman, she led the Imperial faction. Was that you again? That was us. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Let me tell you, she knew what she was doing. She was saying some shit that was wild, on stage. Like we were like, what the fuck? But she was great.
Also, just the expression on her face, I was like, this lady's into it.
That's the thing. Like they do these they get really into character. In the first day, it's kind of cringe. Like, you're just like, oh, am I really, really doing this right now? Kind of a thing.
Yeah, Joe, you're like a step away from LARPing, and you've signed up for this, and you've prepared for this for 67 hours.
Yeah, I was like, but then by the end of it, you're like, nah, this is great. Because a lot of times, like, they're really chill. The Valks Localum, who ran the rooms, were really, really super chill, and they would do, like, fun little, like, mini games for you or events on the side of your missions that can change things up. Really fun experience. I really, really enjoyed it. But yeah.
Cool. All right, what's next? Tyler, you have finished books 4 and 5 and is on 6 of Mistborn?
Damn.
Bro's reading.
Yeah. So I've been enjoying the Mistborn series. A friend of mine told me that the first 3 books, amazing. They're peak Brando Sando fiction. And then he goes, the next 3, even better. I finished the third one. I was like, how can these be fucking better? You know, like, I genuinely don't understand. I took a few weeks off in between them to read it. Oh my god, they're so fucking good. They're so fun. So these books are a different cast and crew set in the same universe as the original 3 Mistborn books.
But much later, right?
They take place maybe in a different time.
Maybe. Okay.
Maybe.
You plead the 5th.
Maybe. But this is like, this follows a character named Wax, and he has a cast and crew with him. Wax, and Wayne, and Steris, and Marisi? I think those are the main characters. Dude, this is just like Wild Wild West meets Sherlock Holmes.
Ooh.
With Mistborn powers?
Man, I think the one thing they've told me is yeah, okay, everything you know about Mistborn, there's guns now, and my mind went, whoa!
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy because, like, in the first 3, it's like bow and arrow, Stone Age swords, and it's like, oh yeah, now there's flintlock pistols. Like,
that literally changes everything.
It changes so much. The powers are cool. They do dual classes in these books. They're a really fun time. They're they're way shorter. Each book I think is around 20-hour mark. So they're a lot shorter than the original Mistborn trilogy, but they're super fun. They expand the universe. I could eat 10 more of these books and be completely fine with like how short they are. I'm like, nom nom nom, give me more of these characters. I want to grow old with them. I want to watch their lives on TV for years. I want them to be the next Doctor Who.
Oh, that's the sweetest thing you could want out of fictional characters. That's a ringing endorsement if I've ever heard one.
It's super great. I would recommend anybody read them. And the cool thing is, I do think there's a little bit of a cool thing. I think you could start with I think you might be able to read either trilogy in either order.
Huh.
Like, you could start with the second trilogy and be completely fine. Which is very interesting. I know people would blast me for that, and they'd be like, no, you can't. There's so much. I'm like, yeah, you know, they're books. Enjoy them how you want.
Yeah. What it seems is like the plot isn't that heavily hinging on book 1. Maybe more like setting and history of the world as opposed to...
Yeah.
Well, but I do know the name of the final book. Because I saw it on...
Hey, I don't. So keep your mouth shut. Because I don't know which book I'm on.
What's the name of the
I'm
book
on
you're reading?
The Bands of Mourning.
Okay, no, that's not it.
Yeah, I didn't know there was more books.
Maybe I read it wrong. I saw something called The Lost Metal, and I was like,
Oh,
that might be the next one.
That I could see. Well, that would imply that, like, at least like that's a cool lore or like thing that's in the original books. So like that's
maybe
cool through.
Maybe it's cool. I'm excited. These books have been great. I would highly recommend. Joe, I think you would enjoy the Mistborn trilogy.
Yeah, I was thinking about like what do I need to read next or have my next book. I'm on a weird quest right now in terms of my books. So yeah, I'll have to keep that in mind for my next book to read.
I will say Mistborn 1 it feels like a little light on I'd say characterization or like strong characters a little bit, but they get there in like 2, and I assume even more in 3. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there was also like a huge time gap between. Oh no, no.
It was his first book, and then and then he went back and started writing more. Yeah,
they were published between 2006 through 2008, but I don't think he was 100%. He was gonna make a second Mistborn book whenever he wrote the first one.
And then he made 6. This guy, how does he do it?
This guy.
This guy.
Great book. Would recommend as part of our Brando Sando life.
Speaking of books that are great and I would recommend, Dungeon Crawler. I read Dungeon Crawler Carl book 2 and 3.
And when did this happen?
And I would recommend one of those books. I mean, time passed.
As Joe says, time passes.
I guess I took some flights and some drives, some working out, and some ZZZ, and next thing you know, I'm done with 2 of the Dungeon Crawler Carl books.
I was about to say, like, you could probably start one at the beginning of the flight to Japan and just finish it by the time you're there.
I was already done. I was setting up for Grace of Kings. I think I was like near the end of book 3 in Japan. Yeah.
Anyway, how were these? Because I read book 2, but not 3 yet.
What did you think of book 2?
I liked it more than book 1. There were some moments in book 2 that I was genuinely impressed with.
Do you remember any of those moments?
Yes. The one, and I was talking to Tyler after I read this bit. I think probably my favorite bit of book 2 is the first time Carl gets to that like undead circus place or whatever, and all of a sudden he's hit with this feeling, and he's like, it was hard for me to pinpoint what I was feeling, but it was the smell.
And
he's just sum it up. He was just like,
he remembers that memory with his mom.
Yeah, he was just like, I don't know, the cotton candy and the peanut smells and all this bullshit. He's like, I thought that was like the smell of a circus, but I don't know. He talks about that day with his mom and how shit life was after that. And he's like, to me, I realized that was the smell of happiness. And
it makes him angry.
Like, I hadn't smelled it since that day.
It makes him angry that it dawns on him that like, yeah, we are losing these things and these opportunities in life.
So like the moments like that, I really like.
I don't like book 2.
Damn.
I think I wouldn't even say book 2's okay. I like, there's nothing going on. I don't know. Like, book 1 sets up such a cool like it's a cool setting. I think the characters are like engaging. We have cool storylines, but like I did not care for this quest that they were doing this entire book.
I'll give you that. Like going into book 2. We have such a different setting than book 1, which is really exciting, but there are probably more exciting things we could have done than opening up like this quest storyline.
Like to me, it's pretty confidently weaker than book 1, which I thought was like surprisingly enjoyable. I was a little let down by this. Yeah, it just feels like we were introducing the concept of quests and like doing some more grinding, introducing like the super NPCs or whatever, and Club Desperado, yada yada. Tyler, is Katya in book 2? Yes. Yes. It introduces her. That's a great character.
Yeah.
However, book 3 kind of came around on this one. This one, kind of good. It actually introduces maybe the most engaging thing in the entire plot and world of Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Is it like a new game mechanic or something?
I will say that the book is called... Well, book 2 is called Carl's Doomsday Scenario, and that becomes that is a thing in the story. And this one's called the Anarchist Cookbook, and that particular story element is the most fascinating thing in like the story, because it's like, to me, that is the story. Like, it kind of introduces what the plot to me actually is, and like what to really latch onto for the future. And the way that like dynamic goes with like what Carl's learning and what he's contributing to that plot dynamic or that plot element and stuff like that. Like, also Donut and Katya have like really good stuff in this book. The one thing I don't like is like they're in a lot of trains in this one, and I just did not care for keeping track or like the mystery of the train lines and stuff like that. But a lot of like plot lines they set up in book 1 and 2 come to head here. There's those people that like Carl killed their daughter. Well, he didn't kill
Yeah.
their daughter, but like because of his activity, because of their conflict, their daughter ended up dying.
Look, they had it coming.
Yeah, they did. Maggie May and her husband, whose name I forget. There's a really good follow-up to that in this book, and it's one of the most fire lines. Tyler knows what I'm talking about.
What you talking about?
And there I have my revenge. That shit's raw. That's great. Yeah, like this one, wasn't feeling it at first, especially because book 2 was such a downer. I was ready to be like, probably this is gonna be the last one I ever read. As I was like starting book 3. Also, the Critical Drinker is a voice in this, and that guy is a twat.
Don't know who that is.
He's every movie's woke like Irish YouTuber or something.
Oh, what character is he even?
He is the train conductor. That's the saving grace. He is not that important.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's why that character's on the screen for like a second.
But when you're starting up the book with additional voices by the Critical Drinker, and I go, yuck!
He's like, damn it.
I had no idea who that was. I thought it was just a guy who reads books.
Nah, he's a YouTuber. Yeah, but like, I was ready to give up on the series, but they kind of brought me back. I want to know what happens. So after Brando Sando arc, I will probably do another 2 Dungeon Crawler Carls. I like jumping around these series, saving up those last 2 Dublin Murder Squad books because I'm gonna be really sad when I'm caught up with that series.
I was about to say, like, once you read them, they're done. So you gotta save them for a rainy day.
Until they need to do TV adaptation. Actually, I was thinking, would you like a Dungeon Crawler car adaptation, and how would you like it? Because I think this would be a hit. Like, it would just be one of those like Squid Gamey-esque things that kind of blows up out of nowhere, in my opinion. Because it's the show with the funny cat. Like, I feel like it would go through the right media cycles to become really popular if it had like a TV adaptation.
Yeah.
It could work.
I think I'd want it to be animated.
That's what I was thinking. It might have to be animated, but I think it would be like a cool, like Invincible kind of like cool show.
I was thinking that too. Yeah. So another thing, let's see. Well, let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I know one of the books is coming out soon, so you'll be able to read them again.
I think it came out in November, bro.
Yo. Oh yeah, you were saying you could get to that after your Brandon Sando arc. Are you gonna do Stormlight 5 though?
I gotta do it at some point. Yeah, I gotta catch up about.
I gotta get Ryan to send us a summary of what's happened so far, because the thing with Mistborn is the story is very coherent and nice. Fucking Stormlight goes weird places in book 3 and 4, man. There's
a lot of fucking characters.
There's a lot of characters, but also the scope of the conflict has been elevated a step, and like it's hard to keep track of all the forces.
That's the thing. Like in book 1 of Stormlight, almost everything is kind of just happening in one place at the Shattered Plains.
Very
but then
crowded, or very
as you
crowded.
go on, it's like we have like 4 or 5 locations around the world with like 4 different groups of people that are each doing different things.
Yeah, and then man, one day you'll be able to finish book 3. I believe in you, Bradley. Bradley, what if you read a summary of book 3 and read book 4? I wouldn't.
No, I can't do that. I can't.
It's over.
Oh,
it's never happening.
So, the book actually did come out in November. Audiobook comes out in February. I think the same weekend as Civilization. So it's gonna be just heaven.
Oh man, you're gonna be civving while Dungeon Crawler Carling? That might be one of the happiest, like, most Zen Tyler combinations you could ask for.
I won't even talk about it on the podcast. I'm just gonna be alone and with my life and my fiance in the living room, just living the best life.
No, I want to hear about it on the podcast, though.
Nope.
What? You're not gonna tell me about Civ and Dungeon Crawler Carl 5?
Let me be happy. I don't want to share it with
After
the world.
Civ comes out, we're never leaving our couches again.
True.
Yeah, true.
This is probably the second to last podcast ever, so brace for that, everybody. Because Monster Hunter and Civ, it's over for us.
Game of the year is gonna be a lot easier this year, unless some surprising happens.
You never know.
It would be funny if we just like posted an image, be like, "Hey, it's these."
No, we get together and we bang it out in 20 minutes.
Yeah, and then we just sit around.
And then we go back to playing Monster Hunter Wilds.
And Civ at the same time because we
Wow, we're so big
turn.
All right, which one of you motherfuckers have watched Wicked?
Ooh, Joe, did you get to end up watching it?
No.
Oh, is it just me?
Bradley did.
Bradley did.
I definitely did.
My life's been so busy. I literally tried multiple times, and every time something.
Hold that thought. Hold. I gotta find something.
Okay, we're holding. I also want to. I've been trying to watch this and Nosferatu for a while, but this came out in digital, so I might have to do my cheeky little things.
Same with Nosferatu. I want to see that so badly.
I hear it's really good.
Yeah.
Good old Eggers. We are fans.
I would do it this Friday, but I have to paint a guy, and that's gonna take.
Joe, you need to stop. Like, you need to free yourself from this destructive hobby.
Again.
Oh my god, there's never gonna be an end. Man,
I mean, it is a hobby.
Well, Bradley, are you feeling popular?
Hell yeah. So, going into this movie, I didn't really have very high expectations because I don't know. I just kind of expected them to botch it. This is a really good musical, and it's not even the first time a musical has been adapted from Broadway to big screen, and sometimes that just goes really shittily. Holy shit. This blew me away. We went into the theater with a pretty wide spectrum of people. You have people like my mom who she's seen the show like a dozen times growing up. The only two things ever playing in our house was either ABBA or the Wicked soundtrack. So she's like mega fan. You have people like me, like I've seen the show once or twice and I like listening to the music, but I'm not like a diehard fan.
And you do karaoke renditions.
And I karaoke it. You have people like Emmy who like maybe they've never seen the original Broadway show, but they've been listening to the music to get hyped for the movie and they're like really fucking excited. You might have people like my brother who they're like, I don't know what this is, but my family's going to watch it, so fuck it, I'll come along. So we had a pretty wide range. Everybody walked out of the theater going, that movie was the fucking bomb. And
nice.
Coming from a lifetime fan like my mom saying that, you know what, she actually thinks she likes the movie better than the musical, I think is very high praise. I view the movie now as Wicked, the definitive edition.
Whoa.
Because they did such a good job adapting the whole story, all of the songs, but you get even more than you would get in the musical because like you're getting to see the characters and you get to see the actors' micro expressions when they're delivering certain lines or when certain events happen in the story, like when they're at like the ballroom dance and Galinda like gains sentience and realizes like, oh my god, I'm a huge bitch.
She gains sentience.
Like you get to see the gears turning on Ariana Grande's face. And
I had a lot of faith in Ariana for this movie personally.
The movie would have sucked without her.
Damn.
Not only because she did such a good job as Glinda, she was basically a fan consultant for the movie.
Cool.
There were changes they wanted. She is such a huge Wicked fan, and there might be changes they wanted to make, like the song "Popular." They're like, "What if we went for like kind of a hip hop route?" And like she was the principal pushback. You are not going to do that.
Dude, how would you? "Popular" is like the fun song. You can't like change that.
Also, Galinda's song.
For the
first half.
Yeah, exactly.
So like I really get the feeling that all the people acting in this movie are people who were just really passionate about the original when it comes through. I think everyone killed it. All the adaptations were great. The movie itself is beautiful. Now, one thing I didn't know before the movie came out is that this is going to be split up into two parts.
Yeah. I figured that as soon as I saw it. I was like, there's no way they're doing the second half.
And I think I brought this maybe on the podcast. They could do something really cool with the second half where it's also an Oz remake. Because in the story, the last like act, you're just like before or after Wizard of Oz scenes. For a lot of that like part of the story. So they could just like fucking cast a Dorothy and just do an Oz remake and flesh out like that entire story with the full context. I would be open for it. That's like the one way that I think it would be worth it to do a Wizard of Oz remake.
That's what people are thinking. Like it's gonna it seems like it's gonna be Wicked Part 2, but also it is going to be like the Dorothy half of the story with all the new info you now have.
That'd be sick, man.
You know, Wicked, before it was ever a Broadway musical, like it was novels, which was adapted into a musical, which was now adapted into a movie, and with the added runtime of it being a long ass fucking movie, you know, you're able to bring in some more elements that weren't necessarily in the musical from the novels, and people are thinking, you know, we might get more of that in part 2. But overall, I went in with, I was in my brain, I was like, best case scenario, it doesn't suck. But then I walked out going, this is my favorite way to experience Wicked now.
Oh man, that gets me so excited.
So I just was very pleased.
I didn't think I would be a Wicked stan one day, but like the Broadway show was just so much fun. Like, how is Elphaba?
Elphaba, yeah.
Elphaba? Because I feel like that's the harder one, because she's like the kind of stick in the mud, while Galinda gets to be like the goat character. Like, so how is she in the movie?
Yeah, and everyone plays her a little bit differently, because I've seen like different Elphabas in clips. Like for example, Idina Menzel plays Elphaba from the start, like a bit more standoffish, which Elphaba is a standoffish person for good reason, I think. Cynthia, and I can't remember how to pronounce her last name, but who plays Elphaba in this movie, who also I'd call her the best singer in this movie, and calling her the best singer in this movie when this movie has people like Ariana Grande in it is ridiculous, but it's true. She played Elphaba kind of more like a hurt person, also standoffish like Elphaba is, but I think you can tell the hurt behind the eyes.
Nice. That's a cool angle.
I was kind of, this is a movie where more than other movies, I was especially worried about the casting. But I walked away going, I don't think there's anyone else I would have cast for Elphaba and Glinda.
How about Jeff Goldblum as the wizard?
So
that was great. He did a great job.
Jeff Goldblum as the wizard is just Jeff Goldblum as the Grandmaster. Like, it's not Jeff Goldblum, it's the Grandmaster.
Man, am I gonna like that? Because
he doesn't melt anybody.
The wizard is like, I really like the tone they go with in the Broadway show that I watch, where like he's like taking it pretty seriously, and like it kind of like he doesn't come off as cartoonishly evil when you find out that he is like morally kind of very questionable. So I'm wondering if Jeff Goldblum blooms too much in his goofy
It's not
way.
that much, but I may have been in a different state of mind, and I just was like, yeah, this is the Grandmaster.
Soarin'!
Yeah.
Wait, that's the other one. That's the other musical. You were defying gravity. That was the reference. I was.
Can you imagine if that's the song she sings?
She goes, Soarin'! I'm guessing they end with defying gravity, right? That's a fair bet.
They do, and wow, what a number.
Peak.
It's so cool. So I'm a blind person who went in to see this. I have never seen Wicked or know anything about it.
I'm glad you didn't see that.
Every time me and Bradley duet.
Other than that, there was a green person in it. That's all I knew. And I knew it was something related to the Wizard of Oz. Like, I've seen the poster my whole life, but had no idea.
That poster's so fire.
It was a movie for me. It was just,
Woohoo!
I didn't hate it. Yeah, woohoo. I was very distracted the whole movie. I had some thoughts, like, in the Broadway musical, is Elphaba's sister in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Okay, so they made Dorothy land a house on a wheelchair girl?
Yes.
Keep that in mind. Just hold on to that thought.
Okay.
Yeah, hold that thought.
Yeah. All right, so here's another thing. The economy of Wicked and Shiz and Oz, these places are handicap accessible, which is crazy because there's only one handicapped person that exists in this universe. How expensive is that one woman in the ratio of all the economies?
She's the mayor's daughter. She's the mayor's daughter. He forced these regulations.
He's not even he's not. Those regulations are built into the university prior to her existing.
Well, he's
the only handicapped person in this world.
I'm sure like 200 years ago there was another person in a wheelchair.
Like, how often do you run to a person that is wheelchair bound? Like
on crutches, maybe with a cane. At university, maybe at least 3 times a week.
Okay, maybe.
Like, it happens. Like you don't really think about it, but it happens.
They're out there.
I'm not saying that like. What I'm saying is that like it's not like 1 in 10 people are in wheelchairs, because if that was true, then like the world would be a lot more different.
Yeah. Anyway, beyond that.
I think what he's saying is that like, isn't it canon that she's like, well, like I don't know. No, there's other people in wheelchair, right? Like, I've heard you complain about this before, and it made more sense back then. But I think I was just giving you the benefit of the doubt.
But like, she kills a handicapped girl and then steals her shoes.
Yeah.
Hold on to that thought.
Hold that thought.
Anyway,
we'll get back to that in part 2.
Sure. There's a simp guy in this movie.
There is a simp guy
for Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's literally me.
Turns out that Ariana Grande cucked this guy's wife, and this guy is SpongeBob in SpongeBob the Brotherhood musical.
Oh, there's like a whole off-cast drama.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, this guy left his wife
it's a
and
whole
child for this. Like, he's getting Pete Davidson sloppy seconds? Like, you left your wife and kids?
And everyone on the planet is getting Pete Davidson sloppy seconds. That's not weird. That's just normal.
I was just like, oh, there was I was so distracted by questions I had about the existence of the universe.
This is you watching X, and it's like, there's no alligators in Texas, and you just can't stop thinking about it.
I could not stop thinking about it the whole time. I was so distracted watching this movie. The only musical number I enjoyed was the one where they're in the cafeteria dancing, probably. Huh?
Or not? What is this feeling?
Yeah, I hear from the other room Kelly yelling, "What is this feeling?"
Thank you, Kelly.
The choreography for that one was amazing because it's like their biggest dance number in the movie.
I'm so happy everyone's treating that song with respect. That's like after Defying Gravity. That's like my favorite.
That was
song.
fun. You don't like Popular? Yeah. You don't like?
I think
no.
Or What is this feeling blows them all.
Like
away.
It's popular because like you know.
I'm just a Galinda stan, I guess, because she's so funny.
The choreography for that one was good as well. They did a lot of like I would say above all the movie is 90% CGI, and then they do like sets for the musical
songs,
numbers. Yeah. Yes, and the choreography was great. So I really appreciated that. Those were all good.
Cool.
I am not a musical guy, and I hate theater people, so it is definitely not a movie for me.
Those are weird.
I don't care.
Hey, Pa, here's the kettle, and he's black.
Yeah. I don't care. I hated myself. Cool. What high schooler does that?
Oh damn! You turned it around on me. I'm sorry. Oh, it got real. Okay.
Loading.
Loading. Peak.
My sister and my cousin were singing that yesterday at dinner. But yeah. Anyways,
for when we went to New York, we like my brother and sister would not stop singing Popular, so it's in my head. And some of those songs are just earworms, man.
Yeah, they are.
On another note, I do like the Book of Mormon though. That movie, that show is good. I would go see it again.
Well, that is wicked. I'm gonna try to watch it soon, and you'll see it in a quickie one day.
At some point.
Some point. Joe, drive up here and we'll go watch Nosferatu.
Y'all should be soaring and flying when you watch Wicked.
Soaring. Man, we need that cut. Like the climax of the movie. She's singing that.
Oh my god, it was so funny. The night before we went to see Wicked, my mom kept going like, I'm gonna sing along the whole time in the movie. And my
no,
brother's
Mom.
like, Mom, you are not allowed to sing along in the movies. People are gonna be pissed at you. And she's like, no, everyone else is gonna be singing along too. Like everyone else likes the song. And, oh my god, it was just funny. She's like, I'm singing along, and my brother's like, please don't. I don't want
Did they know? Was she right?
She ended up not singing along, but I'm sure it took all of her willpower. But they have sing-along showings you can go to, so.
Yeah.
She should book one of those. All right. The Wailing. What is this?
Yeah.
Shit, y'all. This is a 2016 South Korean horror film.
Ooh.
The film centers on a policeman who investigates a series of mysterious killings and an illness is in a remote Korean village in order to save his daughter. The film was both a commercial and critical success.
We're getting the Wikipedia article.
Yeah, this is the Wikipedia entry. This thing had a budget of $8 million US and then made $51 US million.
Gaming.
Good gaming for such a small budget.
Yeah.
This movie is a whopping 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Ooh.
It is amazing. The whole time I was sitting there, I never felt like there was a slow moment. It's like, it feels like as long as Skinamarink is, but Skinamarink is like 45 minutes, you know?
Like the actual content of Skinamarink.
Yeah, like imagine you're watching Skinamarink, but it's interesting and you're glued to it the whole time, and you go, oh shit, 2.5 hours have gone by. Damn.
Yeah, but then it's not the Skinamarink experience.
Yeah. So this movie focuses around a policeman. He is our main character, and he has a family. And he starts off by very Resident Evil vibes, to be honest. Like he's investigating this like murder that happens in like the first 8 minutes of the movie. And like you see the guy who did it, he's just sitting out front. He's like covered in like bubbles and like just dirty, and he's just got blood from head to toe.
I had to hold every part of my being to not say come.
Yeah,
and yet here we are.
And yet here we are.
You won. Congrats, you won the Jackbox game.
It's a great movie. I don't want to spoil too much about it by talking about it, but it's engaging. The cinematography is very interesting too.
Where does the horror? Is this a horror movie?
I would say it's more of like a thriller.
Okay, cool.
It does have a lot of horror elements to it, but because it's not American horror, you know, like it's gonna be a Korean horror, so it's a little bit slower. Doesn't have a lot of like, you know, when you watch like an American horror movie and they have those violins playing in the back and like a lot of the suspenseful instruments.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a lot of those, I think, or at least I can't recall at the time. It's a very quiet movie the whole time for watching it. It's trippy. And the movie's so long, there are elements that they introduced to me that I forgot as I was going through. And I was like, oh, this is the ending. Oh, that's the ending. Oh, no, it's this. Oh, my God, we were all wrong.
Surprising. Surprises.
Yeah. Very good psychological thriller horror. Would recommend. Probably a 4 out of 5 on the.
Ooh. This
is a good one. This is up there with like The Ritual in terms of I would show my friends this and rewatch it.
Ooh, save that thought. Hold that thought.
Yeah.
All right, that's The Wailing, which means I get to do the thing. That's the only reason why I had this podcast today.
Okay.
I want to talk about Twin Peaks. I've been bubbling, just like a little tiny volcano, a little Akainu man, wanting to, just thinking about Twin Peaks, man. This show is fucking insane. Like, if you recall, I watched season 1 in a previous podcast, and I liked it. And I was like, oh man, it is pretty wacky, haha. But like, you know, it still grounds itself pretty well. Like, you know, like, I heard Lynch is weird, but like, this is pretty digestible. Brother. How wrong I was. Season 2 of Twin Peaks is very interesting because they are forced by the like producers and whatnot to answer the question of who killed Laura Palmer in season 1. And they do. And the answer was very clearly always planned, even if they didn't want to always show what it was. And the episodes that build up to the review and the reveal itself are really fucking good. Something I didn't mention about season 1, but like really becomes apparent in season 2, the directing of the show is so good. Like really cool camera angles and shots and really comedic like timing, like the editing. It's all so on point. One of the best edited TV shows I've ever watched. So around episode 9 or 10, they wrap up the main mystery of what was in season 1. And then the original writers, which is David Lynch and I believe Mark Frost, leave the show because of that dispute they had with the studio heads. So for a couple of episodes there, other writers work on the show. And boy, do they go into some insane side plots. Season 2 is very often regarded as the worst season of Twin Peaks because of this. There is just nonsense. There's a character who's a, like, mid-30s-year-old woman who has a mental breakdown and then thinks she's back in high school. She's married to a guy who is in love with another woman in town, but his wife has always been crazy, and now she's also a 13 or a 16-year-old in her mind. And then their solution is like, yeah, let's just send her to school because like it's the only way she'll get back. So they just like play this straight, and she wants to fuck this guy in the wrestling team so bad, and she gets it, and it's really weird. And she also has super strength, by the way, like just dead ass. She has super strength for no reason. There's no explanation. She just does. And it kind of starts sounding like Riverdale plot lines, but still, like, not as ridiculous. But, like, it's trending there. You can see that Riverdale got a lot of, like, its influences from this. From what I understand, which is 2 Super Eye Patch wolf videos on Riverdale. But, and then by the end of the season, they build up another storyline, and then the writers come back and they wrap up that storyline. And I really quite liked it. It's kind of, like, really cheesy. There is a kind of serial killer ex-FBI agent who was Cooper's boss. And he comes back, and we start delving really deep into the supernatural elements that were in Season 1. And there is no ambiguity. There is severe supernatural stuff in this series. And the way it's portrayed, and I really like the description of this, is that it is really Lovecraftian. And, like, you wouldn't think it is, just from, like, the tone and the vibe of Twin Peaks, especially Season 1. But this is the closest thing that I think I've seen anyone portray to an unknowable entity, like, things that your brain just can't comprehend, because the way they're portrayed to you, it's like, it seems like there's an internal logic to the supernatural of this show, and like you're so close to like piecing stuff together, and then something happens that like skews that, and like you can never get a footing on what is going on with the supernatural elements of the show.
I dig that.
It constantly keeps you on like edging, basically, of like I almost get it, like they're gonna explain it, and you will be edged forever. There's this location that I think has been referenced in media ever since, called the Black Lodge.
Yes.
Have you ever seen like any footage or stills of Twin Peaks? You've maybe seen a location with a bunch of red curtains and a particular floor pattern that's like chevrons. It's a very iconic visual. I feel like it inspires like the Velvet Room in Persona, for example. It inspires like there's Family Guy bits on this. There's like Simpsons like gags on this. Like it has permeated a lot of places of pop culture. The Black Lodge has these entities in it. Some good, some bad. The main antagonist of the series being a Black Lodge entity called Bob, all capital. Bob is the best way I can describe him. He is humanity's propensity to do evil, unspeakable evils, and he kind of like influences people to do those things and take on those impulses. But there's also like benevolent Black Lodge entities, including like a little person who says, and here's the thing about the Black Lodge, they're all speaking backwards. So it's like they're saying their lines backwards, and then it's being played backwards so you hear it straight. If that makes any sense. So
it sounds really weird, probably.
So they're doing their best to make it sound coherent as they're saying their lines backwards, and so it goes like, my name is the Arm, and I sound like this. That's what the little guy says.
I think that's just a cool idea in general.
It is, and it totally adds that vibe of what is this thing? It is so beyond the realm of human understanding. And so, season 2 ends with Cooper going into the Black Lodge to save someone that the serial killer brought there. And Laura Palmer exists, the person who died and started this whole mystery. In a sense, she exists in the Black Lodge, and she's been there since season 1. She sees him again, and then drops some cryptic lines, and then she says, I will see you in 25 years. And it's very ominous, and then she strikes this iconic pose where it looks like she's holding a jar. Nothing makes sense. And the season ends, and I'm gonna spoil... Joe, you might not want to, you might want to mute for a sec. But,
okay.
And I'll let you know in mid-cast chat if you don't want to be spoiled for the ending of season 1. Season 2 ends with Cooper getting trapped in the Black Lodge, and then a doppelganger Cooper being the detective agent, coming out of there. And then it ends with maybe the biggest cliffhanger in the history of television that I've seen. You can come back. She's telling Joe you can come back. So it ends like that. It's the biggest cliffhanger ever, and the show gets canceled. There is no more Twin Peaks. Except in 2017, a season 3 is made called Twin Peaks: The Return. This time, David Lynch, Mark Frost back for the whole thing. David Lynch directing the whole thing. No executive. It's unrestrained Lynch, so it's gonna be insane. And the gap between that was 25 years. And full body chills as I watched that scene in season 2 where Laura says that, and I know ahead of time that 25 years later, pretty much on the dot, they came back for season 3.
Oh, that's so cool.
That shit is wild. And I think the story is the show did get canceled, and then as say year 20 or so, Mark Frost and David Lynch beat up, and should we try to push and see if anyone wants to pick it up, and we'll pick it up from there, and on the dot it comes back, and the first scene of Twin Peaks: The Return is the flashback to that scene where Laura says, I'll see you in 20. That shit is so cool. However, I'm skipping a part of the story there by skipping that 25 years. There is a movie that comes out. 2 movies actually that come out 2 years after that season ends, and then the series kind of dies off, and you're left with the biggest cliffhanger. The movie does not continue season 2. It's more about the exact events of the day Laura died and the stuff leading up to it. And it's called Fire Walk With Me. Ooh, Fire Walk With Me, man. Twin Peaks has this very cozy vibe. And then, very occasionally gets creepy with the psychological and, the supernatural, right? Fire Walk With Me is, if you strip away Cooper's optimism of, small-town America of Twin Peaks, because he's not part of the story, he's not in the town yet, Laura hasn't died yet, and it's leading up to Laura's death, and, supernatural things are happening to her, she's losing it, she feels paranoid. Laura Palmer as a character is fascinating. She's one of my favorite characters in television because there are so many layers to her. She's portrayed as this good girl, but there's very clear dark sides to her, and you can see her drug abuse and her paranoia really get to her at the end of those days, and how that impacts her relationship with her friends and family. It's really tragic, but I would say Fire Walk With Me is just dead ass a horror movie. In a sense that it's very different from other horror movies because there's just this feeling of building up dread and creepiness and psychological torture, and dead ass, this might be my favorite horror movie, full stop. Which kind of sucks because I don't imagine this would hit for anyone who didn't watch season 1 and 2 of Twin Peaks, because it just throws you in there. All the same characters, aside from Coop, like, you'll see them throughout the town. The characters closest to Laura will be right there, and it's just like building up the mystery that you solved in the show and like filling in the gaps. And then there's a follow-up movie called The Missing Pieces, which was deleted scenes from the movie that total up to like 2 hours. So it's like super disjointed, but you should watch both because it's just going to give you way more context.
They got all these deleted scenes. I'm like, we basically got a whole other fucking movie here.
Hey, I'll take it. Feed me. So that's Firewalk with Me. It is so fucking good. And then there's The Return. So the way that Firewalk with Me took away the Cozy America vibes, Cooper, when we left off season 2, as I explained it, Cooper is in danger, and he has to escape that danger, and I guess because he's not there anymore, like, the charm is gone, and, like, it's gritty now, and it feels dark and depressing, and, like, the scenes in Twin Peaks are the only forms of liveliness. Everything outside of Twin Peaks, which is a lot more this season, feels really, like, tense and grim. And, like, ultimately, my favorite element of the show is the relationship between the Sheriff Harry and Detective Cooper. They're like their dynamic is one of my favorite in television. Heartbreakingly, though, the actor for Harry 25 years later he did not pass away like some of the other actors did, but he is too sick to be in the show. So right off the gate, my favorite thing about Twin Peaks is not in this season. And, like, it really starts to show. There's, like, a lot of characters that can't come back, and, like, some things are weird, and they're older, and, like, you really feel the passage of time. And, oh, man, but, like, it's building up so much intrigue in, like, the supernatural elements, and, like, it's not, like, really explaining anything. It's just, like, expanding the universe, and now there's, you know, multiple Coopers running around, and it's insane. There is a plot line. The season is... how long? 18 episodes long. Okay. Season 2 leaves off on a cliffhanger. That I describe as the biggest cliffhanger. From episode 1, they dangle the answer to the cliffhanger in front of you. And they're like, okay, at any moment now, the cliffhanger will be resolved. At any moment... like, there's no guessing what can trigger it. There's no rhyme or reason. It can just happen, and we will resolve this. I know that's a weird way to explain it, but that's how it is, because I don't want to get too into details. Guess how many episodes of this 18th season it takes for that shoe to drop, and for them to resolve the biggest plot, biggest cliffhanger of all time?
Is it the whole thing?
I'll take your guesses. The whole thing.
Second episode?
Second episode. It takes them 16.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? You can't, like... I wish I could explain how bizarre this is, because the actor for Cooper is there. He is now a person called Dougie. Dougie is like a catatonic version of Cooper who doesn't know anything, doesn't know how to wipe his own ass, like, is becoming a human slowly, and, like, the way Dougie interacts with this world is that he, like, repeats what you say, and you're like, you know what, Dougie? That's a good point. And it's hilarious, and it's frustrating, and it's, like, so, it's, like, sweet and wholesome, but, like, it's just edging you the whole time. And Dougie is, like, being led along by, like, Black Lodge entities to, like, get to the point where he needs to be to resolve that plot thread. But it takes 16 episodes, and I'm like, the gall. Because, like, that's the only thing that you want out of Season 3, is for them to resolve that plot thread. And then they just build up a bunch of other storylines and resolve that right at the end. And you're like, okay, so we're going to get 2 episodes. That said, the moment they resolve it is maybe the most cathartic moment in any TV show I've ever watched. Like, I was smiling year to year. I was like jumping up. It was incredible. So you get 2 episodes left, right? Okay, let's pick up. Let's wrap up the storyline that we've been waiting for. Some people 25 years, but they kind of wrap that up in episode 17. So you really get 1 episode of what you actually wanted out of Twin Peaks season 3 in the whole season. And then you have the finale. I'm not going to talk about the finale. It is very strange. David Lynch hates you, but you're not allowed to hate him back because it's so artsy, but holy shit, it is so difficult to watch. And that's not even the most difficult to watch episode of the season, because episode 8 is the most nonsense, like, vague, eldritch, like, being horror shit that you've ever seen, and that episode is just wild. It's kind of like the creation of the Black Lodge, maybe? Like, that's the best interpretation any of us have. With all that said, I can't bring myself to hate season 3, because the whole time it's so engaging and interesting, even though it is not at all Twin Peaks season 3. It is just like a whole different thing, it feels, at many times, even though it has all the same characters. So I end up liking season 2, the least popular season, the most, even though it has like this shit stretch in the middle. It's like sandwiched by peak, and that shit stretch is so funny that like it wraps around to be charming. Y'all, I would recommend this show to everyone. It's gonna be hard to sit through sometimes, but it is so worth it, and I can't stop thinking about it. Like, it kind of worms its way into your brain, and I can totally understand why it's a classic. Bit of a long spiel, but I've been dying to talk about this show, and it is so fascinating to me.
So I just love hearing about the no other really way to put it, just like the eldritch horror stuff going on that's hard to understand.
I'd be so curious to take your take, because like maybe horror is a strong word. Sometimes it is dead ass horror, though, but like it's more like just eldritch bizarreness of like seeing a shape you can't quite comprehend.
Yeah, it's not like horror. This thing's coming to kill me. It's unsettling at how not understandable this thing is.
Exactly that. Oh man,
wait for Willow to play Alan Wake 2.
I don't know, man.
it's not got the same vibes, but it's gonna be very reminiscent of it, I will say.
I know they've said that Twin Peaks is an inspiration for like at least one of the Alan Wakes. I just didn't like Control very much, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, Joe, you have a book corner to go through.
Joe's been reading some fucking books.
Nerd.
I got book corner. All right, let me just continue. Okay. So yes, let's run through these very, very quickly. We're gonna go in just kind of the order that I read them, which should be the order that I have them set here. All right. So first off, I read Recursion by Blake Crouch. This is a sci-fi novel where the premise, as read from the back of the book, is there is a new form of dementia called false memory syndrome going on, and so what will happen is that people will just suddenly get these memories of like a life they didn't have. And that leads to like severe depression, anxiety, insanity, kind of a thing. And so one of our main characters is a detective that is trying to look into a case, and the person's experiencing false memory syndrome. So it's hard to figure out like what the fuck actually happened, right?
I remember did you briefly talk about this? Because this sounds...
I did briefly talk about this, and then but we have a second main character who is working on a way to cure dementia and Alzheimer's and all this stuff, and how she ties into this false memory syndrome thing. But the detective is 10 years in the future, and she's 10 years in the past. So they're interconnected in a way I don't want to get described. This book is fucking batshit insane. Like,
nice.
It's absurd. And so it's a sci-fi. No, it's a sci-fi novel, and I don't want to like, and the one sci-fi aspect of it doesn't make any sense. Like it's 0% could happen, but you kind of have to be like, we're gonna leave. This is the gimmick. We're gonna go with it. We're gonna move on from it, kind of a thing. Briley would hate this book because of that.
Damn.
But it does it's a lot about regrets and your choices you've made in your life, and everything that like that made you become you and where you are, and like what you could to change it and how much control you have over your life. It was a very good read. It's fucking crazy. I have to reiterate that. I had to take notes about like what was going on. But overall, I really enjoyed it. After that, I read Nemsis Games and Babylon's Ashes, the book 5 and 6 of The Expanse. I read book 5 of The Expanse in I think a day and a half. It was so good.
How long was it?
It was like 18 hours.
Nice.
So like it was incredible. Like this felt like the very much like there's been like this background, not necessarily background plot, but like this underlying tension through the first 4 books of the series that like finally comes to a head here, and it was really really well done. And I found that the books are made in like a duology kind of like arc, because there are 2 authors writing this series. So like the first arc is called the Proto-Molecule arc, at least that's what I call it in my head, the Proto-Molecule arc, followed by the colonization era, followed by the Free Navy War, which is what these 2 books are about. Really really good. Book 5 in particular is the first book where we have a perspective from every member of the crew. Usually we just have a perspective from Jim Holden, who is our main character, and then 2 or 3 other characters that are part of the story but not necessarily are part of the crew of the Rocinante, which is the ship. So this one was pretty much the gimmick is the ship has to undergo very long-term repairs, so all of them leave to go take care of their own business. It's like all of their how do I understand this, your loyalty missions in Mass Effect are all happening right now. So that's what they've gone to go do. Really great setup, really well done. The character Amos like has shot up in being one of my favorite characters. That guy is so fascinating, the way he's written. And then book 6 is the follow-up to this. It's a big war that's happening. Not nearly as good as 5, but still very very good.
All right.
I still really enjoyed it. It has the most perspectives out of every book because it uses previous perspectives from the previous books to showcase what the hell's going on in this war. But I still really liked it. It had a very very solid ending as well. I'm really holding off on like these last 3 books because I think we're coming into like the final arc of this series. So I'm hesitant to like just dive into them because I'll probably just chew them through them. But I highly recommend. Bradley, I really am excited to hear your thoughts on like the first book when you get around to it, because I know you have it on your slate somewhere. Also to bring up, I watched the first season of The Expanse, which is the TV adaptation of the series.
How'd that go?
I do not like it at all. I feel like it plays too much into the like Game of Thronesy political side of things and less in the swashbuckling adventure part of it. Like there's a lot of like just kind of like the crew hanging out and doing stuff, while this cues more into the intrigue and slows it way down. And I think that like it's not the series that I really dove into, which is why I'm not really enjoying it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about these TV adaptations, man. They got to figure it out.
It's a sci-fi series originally. They got picked up by Amazon, so it's like whatever. But I don't know, man. There's a lot of changes that they do that I just don't like. It's, you know, I'm just being a book snob. Then I read Warhammer 40k Dark Imperium by Guy Haley. I'm on a quest to find a good Warhammer book that I could really like and recommend. This is not it. I fucking despise this book. Okay, so like the first part of the book, I really liked. I was getting into it. I was like, okay, yes, I'm in. We're doing it. Let's hear it. There's a time skip, and then there's like a montage, and then like the book has this other plot that doesn't even connect to the first part of the plot effectively.
I love Twin Peaks.
I know, but like it doesn't have the vibe, so it's not good.
You need the vibe.
I'm really upset because people were like, this is a great book series. The Dark Imperium's like a really good solid start to new 40k lore. I don't think so. This is not it, man. This is so bad.
You wouldn't get it.
Nope. And then finally, I am most of the way through the paper Menagerie by Ken Liu. Ken Liu, most notably for translating the Three Body Problem series and writing The Grace of Kings.
We're all connected here. This is the guy. I'm reading his book right now.
Yes. So before he wrote Grace of Kings, Ken Liu was a short story writer. So these are his collections of short stories in a book that are obviously published.
That's just the Grace of Kings. Like the Grace of Kings is just a bunch of short stories with recurring characters.
But that's all like right. But these are all separated. Like that's the thing. Like they all have their own unique like settings and like dilemmas. A lot of sci-fi, a lot of fantasy, weirdly sexy at times. Very strange. But one of his series called The Hunt, or one of his stories called The Hunt, was adopted for Love, Death, and Robots. I don't know if you'll watch that. It's the one with the fox and the hunter.
I didn't watch it.
Okay. So, but that one was really good. But a lot of like, but it's so interesting to go back and listen to this because like the prose that he has in the Grace of Kings and his characterization are all there. Like they're all being built up, and you can tell that like the biggest thing he's trying to like figure out is his pacing. Like that's the big like thing he's trying to like that's like not really working out in some of these stories because they can go very long at times. So like definitely like trying to get that pacing right and trying to fit everything he wants to put in there, but like make it feel like good to listen to, right? So it's a really interesting thing to go back to like now one of my favorite authors and see where he started and see everything that he has developed. A lot of these stories are like super good. Like they're very emotional, very heartfelt. Like the core is there and he's just trying to like work his way up to like finally making this series. I highly recommend this. It's a great set of like short stories and like you can read like one story at a time, take a break and come back to it. Really, really nice. Really cool.
Is that
good stuff?
Final book.
That's all.
Final book.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Good stuff. This puts us in Sonic 3 hours, and we are Sonic blazing through this.
Let me tell you, before Bradley gets in here, I went and saw Sonic 1 with my cousins. Mm-hmm. Good movie. I enjoyed it. I was like, this was fine. Then Sonic 2 came out. I was like, you know what? They're making a second one. I expect good things from this. And you know what? The second one did not live up to my expectations. I wanted more. But you know what?
You got more.
You know what? The third one comes around, and sometimes you live and learn.
Oh, in fact, one of your key issues was why don't they use the game music? Tyler, have they finally nutted up?
You know what? They nutted up and immediately got sued, so I understand now.
Oh shit, they didn't they? Sum 41 sued them. That's kind of crazy because Sum 41 still actively works on Sonic games, don't they?
Wait, what? Sum 41
No. Sum 41 makes emo music. You think of Crush 40. Sum 41 writing Sonic music would be great.
I'm deleting this whole fucking podcast.
I was like, I saw Sum 41. I don't remember hearing any Sonic music.
They says suing Sega of America for breach of contract, saying the publisher only has rights to the lyrics.
Oh, jeez. Well, anyways. I mean, just play Emerald Green, like, just play Oil Ocean. That's all I want to hear.
Y'all, this movie was good. It was really good.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Yeah?
I was watching it. So, this movie is, like... This movie is for the kids. It's for Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And it's for people who have played Shadow the fucking Hedgehog. Not Sonic Adventures 2, Shadow the fucking Hedgehog.
So he rides a motorcycle, shoots guns, and can do Chaos Spear.
He has like, I watched an interview, and they're talking about some of the intro cinematics they do for Shadow. And they're like, yeah, no, we directly, like, we were playing Shadow the Hedgehog and watching the cutscenes, and the director's like, yeah, no, I have to put these in. Like, these are such cool, like, choreography movements.
Oh my, dude. Oh my god.
You know, he's there.
If we are talking about, there's multiple things I like about this movie, and maybe one or two things I dislike about it. But if we're talking about what this movie did right, the fight choreography was actually fucking bonkers. Like, there's one part where Sonic and Shadow are fighting, and Shadow's doing this like DBZ shit where he kicks Sonic through the air and then he teleports and kicks him again and teleports and kicks him again.
I love Super Mario Brothers Z.
Dude, literally, it was like Super Mario Brothers Z, and then there's a part where like Shadow's riding a motorcycle up the side of a skyscraper, and Sonic behind him, and then Shadow, who's higher up on the skyscraper, does the Akira slide up the side of the skyscraper to turn back around and see. I was like, oh my god, it looked hype as fuck.
Dude, the movie's good. And you know what? Tails and Knuckles are not just side bitches.
They do shit.
They do shit and are essential to the plot.
So they haven't been before? What was Sonic 2?
You know, it exists.
It didn't have Shadow, so who cares?
I don't think I'd like these movies, man. Maybe I'll like this third one.
Y'all, Bradley, I started watching the credits, and I had no idea that Keanu Reeves was Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh, really?
Me neither.
That was like the main advertised thing about this movie.
I don't watch advertisements.
Yeah,
bro.
I didn't watch a lot of the advertisement.
I delete ads from my life, dog.
Internally consistent.
But yeah, I had no idea. I thought it was genuinely Shadow the Hedgehog. But on an interesting side note, Bradley, did you like Tails' voice actor?
Yeah.
I thought Tails is voiced by Tails.
Yeah, didn't they get the actual Tails
Tails
voice actor?
is voiced by Tails.
Yeah,
and
that's why she sounds the best.
This is the voice actress who's been doing Tails for like the last decade.
Yeah.
As I'm watching the movie, I'm listening to like Sonic and Knuckles talk and Shadow and everybody, and I'm like, I keep going, man, why does Tails sound so much better than everybody else in this fucking movie?
It's kind of a bummer that like animation movies have just like hard locked into like we need to get an actor, not a voice actor who is better.
Right.
we need Chris Pratt
Here's the thing, Ben Schwartz is in DuckTales. Ben Schwartz has been doing voice acting
Ben Schwartz can fuck, and he's in every like food review show I watch. That's why I like him.
But
Oh my god.
yeah, but here's the thing, Keanu Reeves does a good job. Idris Elba does fine, you know, like he's a good Knuckles. I like Knuckles, you know, but there's two characters missing from this movie, Bradley. Did you notice that?
Like that would have been in the OG plot.
Yes.
Who's in Team Dark, Bradley?
Well, we don't have Big the Cat.
This is true.
He's not in Sonic
Adventures 2.
Yes, he is. He's hidden inside Pumpkin Hill.
He's so clearly not in. He's not in the know.
You do not play as Big the Cat in Sonic 2.
Okay, but he should be in the story by now. He's vital.
Here's the thing, though. I know what you're talking about, Tyler. They didn't have Rouge the Bat. And my problem is, this movie is somewhat close to the actual Sonic Adventure 2 story.
Yes.
I mean, it basically just has Maria's storyline, and that's it, and they fight.
And my problem, I think what's weird is that the Sonic Adventure 2 story is a pretty short story. They could have just done it,
Bradley,
unless they just didn't want to make Rouge.
You've hit my complaint about every fucking adaptation, man, because it's like, they go out of their way to not adapt it. Like, some stuff is just adaptable. There's even you can go to Metal Harbor and fight some gun soldiers, and then you can go to Pumpkin Hill and rap.
I honestly feel like they had to do extra work to just not do the plot from the game because it was already mostly there. And then if it's already mostly there, you're changing stuff.
Do they fight?
Already there makes sense.
Do they fight Biohazard at the end?
No, the Biohazard would have been so cool, but they do.
That was my
everything
number
else.
one complaint.
Everything else in that scenario, though, is badass.
I want to see my stupid space Loch Ness monster.
Yes, that was. I'm watching this movie, Bradley, and I look over at Kelly, and I'm like, they don't have the fucking Brachiosaurus in it.
She's like Tyler, seek help.
It's good that they don't, because the movie and the plot makes more sense. but I want the fucking bio lizard.
It's the ultimate life form. You don't look at that and see peak like humanity and creation. Like, come on now.
Y'all, Jim Carrey is a gem in this movie.
I heard they introduced a sidekick that the internet is thirsting over. I think everyone loves him.
They've loved him. He's been there since the first movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
apparently he's
he
popular
has
now.
drastically gotten more attractive in every movie.
I see.
Jim Carrey though did kill it. I remember, I don't know how accurate this is. I had before I saw the movie, I had seen something online that someone was making fun of the fact that they were like Jim Carrey retired from acting, and apparently he had this statement about like it would just take like a really special role that just speaks to my heart, and like a movie I think needs to get made for me to come back to acting, and then he's busted out 3 of these movies. But oh my god, he was so fucking funny in this movie. There's Robotnik, and then his grandfather also Robotnik, and they're both played by Jim Carrey.
That's
and
great.
it's really funny because when they meet each other, they're going over like all their similarities. Like, oh my god, I finally get to meet my grandpappy and stuff, and they're just like amazed at how similar they are. And he's like, it's almost like we're 2 characters in a movie played by the same actor. And but there's this part where it's like a standard spy movie hall full of red lasers, and whatever they have a way to deal with the lasers. And one of the Jim Carreys is like, so you're telling me we could just dance through this room? And the other one's like, yeah. And they do this fucking dance that had me hollering in the theater. It's probably the hardest I laughed the whole movie.
Nice.
It is good. It is. I was actually watching it, Bradley, and I was like, during that dance scene, I go, you want to know something? I like that Jim Carrey is playing both roles, but you know who could have played an amazing Jim Carrey's grandfather? Is Neil Patrick Harris. Could have absolutely just dominated that role.
I could see it.
Harris is younger than Jim Carrey?
But
But
movie
no,
magic.
like,
This is so stupid.
Joe,
Yeah.
the grandfather in this movie looked like Neil Patrick Harris in the series of Unfortunate Events. That is what he looks like.
That's fun.
By the way, the actor you're thinking of, his name is Lee Majub, and he is known for the 2010 fan Canadian-made film Pokemon Apocalypse.
Okay.
He plays Ash Ketchum, and you should check that out. You should just see this horrific thing that exists.
This kind of rings a bell, but I don't think I wanted to. Guys, okay, Pokemon came up, and we're talking about Sonic, which is a video game. Isn't it cool that last year we got 0 Pokemon news? I think
I'm
that's
so excited.
I think
It's
that's
pretty
fucking
cool.
peak. I don't want to hear anything until it comes out.
I am
let 'em
so
cook.
excited for the next Pokemon game. It's the new Arceus one.
Yeah, it's
right?
the new Legends. It's Z to A.
Oh, it's gonna be so good.
I was looking at the list. It's like Pokemon Pocket is the only thing, and like that's kind of a clever way to keep it like keep the biggest franchise in the world, quote unquote,
Keep
relevant.
the brand alive.
Yeah, keep the biggest brand alive.
Out this year.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Anyways, y'all Sonic'd out. Seems like a good one.
Well,
Did you watch post credits?
I watched the post credits.
Did you watch both post credits?
No, I only watched one, but the one I
Alright.
watched was hype as fuck.
It is so hype. And you know what? I told Kelly they left 2 characters out of. Do y'all care about spoilers?
No, you showed me this. You showed both of us maybe this.
Yeah.
Oh, I may have.
Yeah.
Bradley, they made that character way too fuckable.
I'm not gonna say it.
Don't.
Don't.
I don't want to cancel. I don't want to kill both of you.
Look, I'm not a furry,
But
but I know what their charts look like. Okay, and I know where that character lands on that chart.
I
I
see.
think my first.
Which-
I think my first just impression of seeing that character is I'm just surprised how well they translated to the art.
Oh,
style.
she looks better than Sonic.
She does look really good.
Also, hopefully she gets to like, I don't know. They're gonna over spunkify her actually, but maybe she needs it. Like they kind of did that with Princess Peach, but like Amy's such a trash character, bro. There's room to grow.
What I actually was wondering what that's gonna be like, because Amy is such a just like
nothing
simp.
burger. Yeah,
Well, she's such a simp. Like her entire existence is just Sonic. Fuck
they
me.
need to make her Lola Bunny from that one, like the new like Looney Tunes cartoon that's not new anymore, where she's like a ditzy dumb blonde. She's so fucking funny though.
I think that would be a way to like keep the core idea without making
because she's not funny in the games. Like she's
like
just
if they just make her a girl boss, I'm gonna kind of be pissed.
Yeah,
I am excited for her plot though. Like she does seem like she's capable, but I kind of want her to be as dumb as Knuckles is.
Yeah, but like that clip made her seem like I'm a freedom fighter capable kind of thing. I don't know what's happening in these movies. But so Tyler's point is that Rogue would be too fuckable if Amy is already at that level.
Like that's what I'm saying, dog. You know what I'm saying?
I want to see those Zenless Zone Zero jiggles.
I'm saying, where's Omega? That's the guy. Gamma? Omega? Who's the robot?
So there is the potential he might show up in the next movie.
Omega has the one good storyline in all of Sonic in Adventure 1.
So Bradley,
that shit is actually good.
Bradley, do you want to know what the final cinematic was?
Yes.
So the final cinematic is it shows an impact crater and it's like zoomed out, okay? It's like in the middle of the desert, shows an impact crater, okay? And it shows like the ring that Shadow throws down at the very end of the movie. Because remember, he like chucks off one of his like armbands or something, and one of his shoes, and then it shows him picking up the shoe at the end.
Ew,
that's it. That's all the end credit is.
So there's Shadow's. You see Shadow's feet in this movie?
No, you just see him picking up his shoe.
Bro, I don't want to see Shadow's feet, bro. It's like seeing Kirby's feet. I don't want to. I'm good, bro. So wait, what's that mean? That Shadow's gonna run again?
It means he is alive.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, they're not gonna kill fucking Shadow. Like, get out. No, I thought you were gonna say like Mephiles from Sonic 06 shows up or something.
I think the fact that they're foreshadowing Shadow in the next movie would make me think that Omega might show up.
I heard the idea that they'll do Sonic Heroes as the theme of next movie.
No, they can't afford that, dude. They can only afford to add one furry character per movie. That is
because that means they would have to add Charmy, Vex, and SBO.
Yeah,
they can't afford it. And Cream the Rabbit, the name of all time.
The next plot is a retelling of the director's cut, I believe.
Oh God.
Are you familiar with that one, Bradley?
A retelling of Sonic Adventure 1 director's cut?
Yeah, they could go backwards, I guess, and add Shadow to that story. They could do Chaos would be a cool like movie villain, you know.
I would love if they did Chaos. And here's the thing.
Also, like Bradley's such a SA1 fan. Like
there's cool stuff they could do in SA1. Like I really like Tails. Most of the characters don't really have a story in SA1, but Tails has a really cool one where all of his levels are him racing against Sonic. His theme song is like, I want to be like Sonic. I want to grow to surpass him. And what's really cool, Eggman is not the final boss of Sonic's stories. He's the final boss of Tails' story. Yeah. He races Eggman, beats him in a race, and then fights him. He gets to do the whole Sonic thing. I think that would be cool.
That also sets them up as their foil in the Hero Dark story in 2, so that's kind of neat.
Actually, because they're counterparts.
Yeah. And then, I guess, is Amy's story, as much as I was ragging on her, she's the one that has the Gamma thing, right? So that's cool.
Yeah, I think
Amy has a story?
She's not the best character in her story, but she has a chapter. Doesn't
she?
Froggy.
Yeah, she has her own storyline.
Okay, I didn't know. I've never played like a Sonic game that includes a Amy plot.
So Heroes also has Amy, which is why I was bringing that up. Like, but yeah, they'd have to add Team Chaotix. I think they're called. Yeah.
Oh God,
man. Where's Bean the Flick?
Yeah. Okay, I wasn't crazy. I think it's a combination of the director's cut and like some other plots thrown in there.
Sure. I mean,
now look,
they're hitting a bunch of them.
Last thing I gotta say about this movie, because I have to. there's like you're gonna know what I'm talking about. There's a style of speaking and dialogue in movies.
Yeah,
that I don't know. I just maybe that's a way to describe it. I've heard it described so many ways as like I've heard people say MCU dialogue.
Yeah, well,
the that just happened.
So MCU dialogue comes from Joss Whedon because he wrote those early Avenger movies. So it's kind of permeated pop culture.
This movie to me just like epitomized that style of dialogue, and it got a little annoying, but not so annoying that I didn't still like the movie.
Yeah,
that would get to me.
Like he right, but you know what? I post a picture. I went back and watched Sonic 1 after this, and it kind of still does that. It ain't ever changed, but you know what? At least Sonic doesn't look like what he originally used to look like.
Low bar.
That's what they did a good job with fixing the art style. When I first saw Shadow in this movie, I was like, he looks fucking good.
Yeah, they don't have the stupid goggle eyes, but at the end of the day, the goggle eyes are so stupid. So it's like, why should I normalize? But Sonic is peak.
When we got to the part of the movie where we have our Super Saiyan hedgehogs and they cross over each other and do that pose from the game, I was like, I hope there is just like some 10-year-old in a theater getting his mind fucking blown right now. Bradley,
is this movie better than the Mario movie, and why has Mario movie 2 not been announced when they've made 3 of these Sonic movies? Is Mario getting lapped?
Man,
gotta go fast.
Sonic's faster.
Yeah, this is true, but Mario, you know.
Man, that's hard. It's hard to answer which one I like more, actually.
Yeah,
I bet it's a Nintendo thing. Like, I bet they're like.
Yeah, they're probably cracking down.
Yeah. Bradley, did you like the Chow Garden shout out?
I thought it was cool, but
it just made you angry. I bet.
Sega, they are so hyper aware of how much people love that and how much they want it. And over the past few years, they've gotten like asymptotically closer to including them. They've made like animated Chow shorts, stuff like that, but they're just not gonna do it.
You know, in Sega's defense, they're probably like, if we do this, we can't not make it the best thing ever. Because it is their, like, it could be a gacha, it could be a big game, but it needs to be the one that sells a bazillion copies, because if it's mid, they won't be able to ever do it back, I think. Like, they have to have the right idea and do it right.
I feel like it's their, like emergency, like, break this glass button. The thing too.
They needed to break the glass like 20 years ago, though. Like, why aren't they
doing bro. Here's Sonic Forces. You can make your own hedgehog. You're welcome. Here's Sonic Frontiers. It's open world-ish.
Anyway, Sonic 3.
That series is so fucking bad. All right.
Wait. Last thing. Cristo Fernandez is in this movie, aka Danny Rojas.
Yo, cool. Good for him. Bradley, you finished Umbrella Academy, and you will speak about it with no spoilers. Or
with no spoilers.
Vague spoilers, because I may not ever watch it, but
because you watched I think through season 2, but even then season 2 might be a little for you. So I did finish the show, and I kind of got briefed going into the show. Emmy told me a lot about it because she's watched through the whole thing a few times. And then you came and ate with us at a Cafe Java, so I got to hear some of your thoughts as well. Season 1 and 2 were fucking fire. Bangers pretty much every episode.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of hate for season 3 online. I thought season 3 was as good. I really liked it.
Nice.
With the exception of one hyper specific element I didn't like. Everything else in that season.
I'm just gonna go on a limb and say it involves Allison.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Season 4 started off the goddamn chain. This is like, oh hell yeah, this is gonna be so cool. First few episodes of season 4, I'm like, I'm wondering how they're gonna pull this off, but it's still really cool. And what kind of sucks is the other 3 seasons were all 8 to 10 episodes. I think season 4 was 6. And that's a problem. There are some elements of season 4 that I'm like, I don't know if I like this. I might have liked it if they had like another episode or 2 to flesh it out. Overall, though, okay, the ending is bad. It is. What people say, it's true. I'm sorry. But let me say this.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Pet Sematary had what I call a shitty ending. And I think that's a controversial take because I've gone online and I've seen people discuss the ending of that book so much, and it seems like it's very well beloved. But I just did not like the end of the book Pet Sematary. No. So, the ending was bad enough that I'm like, I'm probably never gonna read this book again. And I am someone who rereads books, but it almost made me. I'm glad I read Pet Sematary, but it almost ruined the book for me.
Yeah.
And so Umbrella Academy, I will say, I don't think it ruined the show for me. I'm still glad I watched it, and I'm probably even still gonna rewatch it.
Okay, that's reassuring.
So like it's just the ending made me feel like if someone knew these characters and all the growths and things they went through, this is just not the satisfying conclusion you would write for these characters, I don't think. Which I won't say much more than that.
Ah, man. So, like, that's brutal because having, like, a bad plot or whatever, like, that's the kind of bad ending that stings. Having bad character conclusions is probably the worst sin an ending could do for me. So that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, and it's like... And it's not... What sucks is it's not even the character writing that's bad. I still think, like, we have a lot of good character writing and good arcs and growth, but... Like... I guess the characters aren't rewarded for their growth. I don't know. And there's not like a god in the sky and TV show who's dishing out punishments and, you know, boons for characters growing, but I don't know. It's just not where I hoped for these characters to end up. But it was a pretty fucking amazing ride up till then. I've already said, like, season 1 and 2 were amazing. The premises of season 3 and 4 were so cool. One thing this show has in common with The Good Place is that, so, like, you're just not gonna guess what, like, the premise of the next season is.
Ooh, fun.
And because, you know, season 1, sometimes you're not even gonna be able to tell what the next episode is. Like, in season 1 of this show, like, a bunch of shit happens. We get, like, a big, beautiful romantic moment between Allison and Luther, and then, you know what? Literally all that gets rolled back. It never happened because, like, some time shit happens. I'm like, oh my god. And then, like, next episode in season 1, Klaus just goes to fucking Vietnam and it's played for a joke. Like, it's relevant for his character for the rest of the show. So, like, that's kind of what going into a new season is like in the show too. Like, season 2, yeah, it's in the 1960s. But it's just a totally different setting, and so that's kind of what 3 and 4 were too. Like, when I got to the first episode of season 3, I was like, from the beginning of the show, I was hoping that this would be a season.
Ooh,
so
cool.
But man, even more than the ending, because I already talked about the ending being unsatisfying, but not to the point that, like, it would make me not want to watch the show again. Something that does kind of make me not want to watch the show again is the stuff they did with Allison in season 3.
I'm so morbidly curious.
I think when I had been talking
She's
to you,
done some fucked up shit, but man,
when I'd been talking to you and Emmy about this show, one of y'all had mentioned people online just hating Allison. Like, she just really gets a bad treatment in the show. Which was crazy for me to hear at that point, because I think I had just gotten to the end of season 1, and I was like, Allison is like, okay, obviously number 5 is my favorite character. He's the coolest fucking character in the show, and that never changes. He's so fucking badass. But behind 5, it's kind of a toss up. I really like Klaus, and I really early on I loved Allison. And even in season 2, I loved her. She even got better. In season 3, I almost couldn't look at the TV when she was on screen. I was so frustrated with her character. Stuff happens in the show that makes her angry with herself, angry with the other characters, angry at the world, like I think anybody in her situation would be. And it makes sense that she lashes out at people. But there eventually comes a point where it has gone so far, and I'm like, I don't even buy the excuse of she's angry anymore. Like, she's just doing things that seem completely nonsensical. That, like, I don't even think an angry person would do this. Or maybe if she's angry at a character, that character can come up, and even if I think that other character is right and should not be apologizing, they're like, you know what, Allison, I just love you so much, and I'm sorry for what happened, and I just want us to go back to the way we were. And she's just like, how about you go fuck yourself? And I'm like, no, what no, don't do that. I don't know. It was just, she was one of my favorite characters, and I feel like they just threw her off the deep end.
They call that character assassination.
Character assassination. And there was one other character assassination, not quite as bad, but almost as bad. Klaus, for most of the show, was one of my favorite characters.
Man, okay, but he was always on the teeter of being assassinated, I feel.
I mean, like, he's kind of on the teeter, and here's the thing. He had not only the most growth out of the entire show, but also the most satisfying growth, which I think is due in part to the fact that, like, he starts at the lowest point out of all of the characters. And so he has a lot of room to grow, and it's very satisfying when he does. And he reaches a point where I'm like, the phrase self-actualization came to my brain. I was like, I feel like he actually has become the best version of himself that he can be.
Character archetype.
Yeah, I was like, this is just really cool. I feel like he has reached a version of himself I never thought I would see, and he's actually helping other characters to become the best versions of themselves. And then some shit happens in season 4, like shit always happens. And he just kind of relapses back into where he was at the beginning of season 1. Just like, I'm at the bottom, like constantly relapsing on drugs.
They call that character regression, and not the good type, not the cool type.
And like, I don't know, for someone who used to be an addict, I can see why relapsing and regression is a genuine threat for the character, but I don't really understand what made him regress that far. I think it was a kind of disproportionate. So now those are the main gripes. All that being said, I think this was a bomb-ass fucking show. I would still recommend it to people. I dipped into the comics for a little bit, which was kind of funny because they spoil something on like literally the first or second page of the comics. That's like a big bomb drop, like at the end of season 2 or beginning of season 3.
That's
so
cool.
Like,
I think I know what it would be. Does it involve Vanya or whatever?
No.
Vince? What the new name?
Yeah, Vanya, who becomes Victor. But nah, that's not it.
Okay.
If you don't know, I'm not telling you.
Yeah, don't tell me.
But what? It's kind of crazy how different the comics are from the story. It does seem like a very loose, like they copied the broad strokes and from there kind of, which I think is a good thing, because I think for some of the characters I like their TV show, like TV version more, like Luther, for example. In the show he's kind of like half man, half ape, but in the comics it's like 20-foot tall gorilla body. And
I had 2 questions for you, Bradley, and one of them involves Luther. Does he actually have super strength in the show? Because why is he getting mopped up by normal men? Like, does that ever get consistent?
It's really weird. He'll get his ass beat by a normal ass dude. He got his ass beat by a normal ass dude with like a crowbar or something.
No.
Later in that same episode, he tanks a rocket launcher to the back.
I hate it. It's so bad.
So yeah, the super strength's a little inconsistent.
And then the second question is number 5, always the GOAT.
Always, dude.
Okay.
He is
That's all I needed
so
to know.
cool.
I love 5. He's great.
Oh my god, he's he's just the coolest. I don't know what else to say. It's self-evident. It's a brute fact.
It just is what it is.
Yeah, so the comic is kind of cool. I read like through a little bit of issue 2. Klaus is still fun in the comics. He shows up for the funeral, which is like I think like the beginning of season 1 in the show. He shows up for the funeral, and his first line in the comics is, "You know what I love about funerals? Everything I own is black." And I was like, yeah, that's my boy.
Yeah, but you hate Killua for some reason. Even though Klaus is literally just Killua, but time travel.
No, but no.
Oh my god. Do you like Killua
Anyway.
these days, or are you still weird? Did you ever grow out of that phase? You gotta rewatch Hunter x Hunter, I think.
I don't know about hate. I just
You used to talk so much shit about him.
it's just if a 7th grader was just trying to write the most badass shit possible, that's what you get.
Yeah, that's 5 as well. Their peak.
No, but it's different.
It's different when he does it. All right, guys, we're on the last topic.
Actually, there's 2 more movies to talk about. You missed one of my topics, Willer.
We came so close.
We came.
But both are going to be quick.
What are these movies?
Well, first one is Moana 2.
Yes. Well, yeah, that's what I was introducing Moana 2.
Yeah. But there's a follow-up movie for this that counters Moana 2. Anybody else see this
3.
movie?
Well, I saw Moana 2.
Yeah? Do you want me to go first, Bradley?
I'll go. Yeah.
You can go first.
Say what we
I don't
think.
want to hurt your feelings.
On 3,
No,
3, give your letterbox score of this movie. 1, 2, 3.
0.
2's like a generous, I think.
Generous 2 and a 0.
I don't know if there's anything actively bad in the movie, but there's not really anything actively good either. If you don't know, and this isn't really a secret, this movie was originally intended to be a Disney Plus series.
That makes sense, because I was going to say, Bradley, this movie feels like I watched Lilo and Stitch, and then I got advertised the shit out of the Lilo and Stitch TV show with the guy that eats the sandwiches.
I didn't know that guy.
So you can kind of tell in some points where like maybe they introduce a character and I'm actually like, okay, this character actually is really fucking cool. I'm interested. I want to see more of them. And then you just kind of don't until like the credits, and it's like, okay, I'm sure in the show that character would have had 3 or 4 episodes dedicated to them, but instead we only got this one portion of the movie. So there's moments you can kind of see that.
This movie sucks.
What do you dislike about it?
Moana sees Maui's junk in the movie. That's kind of neat.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, he like spreads his like they're doing exercises where they like are like on their hips and they're raising their legs in one of the musical numbers, and she like looks above her head and it's like, oh wait, Maui wears just a skirt. Everybody wears only skirts. Oh, what else would she see?
You're welcome.
Yeah. This movie feels like it was directed by Dwayne Johnson.
Well, partially.
He was the producer in the movie.
The Rock is very hands-on with making sure his products are as rock as they can be, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Leads to the detriment.
Who's the guy that does the music for the first one, Bradley?
I don't know, man.
Wasn't it Lin-Manuel Miranda?
Yeah.
Who has evidently ruined Disney music, everyone says, which there's an argument to be made.
Who?
Lin-Manuel Miranda, who
How did he ruin it?
Because everything has changed ever since he worked on Frozen.
I think people.
It's almost like
his style is just kind of becoming ubiquitous, and I think people are getting sick of it.
I did see. There's like a clip of the Mufasa movie, and he's saying like, he's like saying "brother" in like a really weird way. I'll send you the clip. It sounds awful.
Yeah. This movie is really bad. I would not recommend it to anybody.
Yeah.
Instead, you should watch Wild Robot.
Oh, I hear this is a banger.
Oh, the trailer looks so good.
Robot is on par with what is that movie about the family that fights the robots?
Meet the Mitchells.
Yeah, the Mitchells. Meet the Mitchells.
Or whatever. I never seen it.
Mitchells versus the World or something, maybe.
I made that shit up.
Wait, hold on. Are you lying?
No, it's something. It's something Mitchell's.
It's like Meet the Murphys.
It's Mitchell's versus the Machines.
It's
Joe
Mitchell
just
versus the
said it.
Machines.
Yeah.
Okay, Wild Robot is on par with Mitchell versus the Machines. This movie is actually way better than Sonic 3. This movie is better than most movies I've seen this year. It is really fucking good. It is a unique story. It kind of takes probably, if people see it and they don't like it too much, they'll be like, oh, this is just a spin off of WALL-E or something. But it's not. It has a nice plot to it. Great story, very wholesome, amazing animation. Y'all, this movie has so many action shots in it. They're so fucking good. They're so vivid. And like at the very end in the credits, they show like the art panels for like, this is what the shot's gonna look like. And it's a banger. You're just like, dude, that shot's great. That shot's great. Great movie, 10 out of 10. If you get the chance to watch it in theaters, do it. If you get the chance to watch it at a friend who has a theater in his house, do it. I would not recommend watching it on your tiny TV.
Okay. Well,
it is a cinematic experience.
That feels directed at me, and I'm gonna watch it on my tiny TV.
I'm not directing that at anybody in particular.
Tyler always points at my tiny TV and goes, hee, look at his small TV. I'll do you one better. I'm gonna watch it on my laptop just to spite you.
Watch on your phone, Willer.
Okay, I have standards. Come on. Guys, the unthinkable has happened. We have time for the bonus corner, if we want. I will just say, I have completed enough of Baldur's Gate 3 to have passed the Joe Suicide Watch, so we're good there. Yeah. The ball's in y'all's courts. I've played about 15 hours.
I've played over 4 hours of Space Marine.
There we go. So, so some people have finished their homework.
How is the Baldur's Gate 3 going?
It's good. It's good. Like, it's frustrating, but like, there's just so much going on, like, it's exciting. Yeah. Like, you're unlocking new stuff. I don't know what D&D classes are like, so every new level, I'm like, oh, cool, I get this useless athletics perk or whatever that I might use once, whatever. Like, I don't know.
You think that, and then you realize that's actually really useful.
I'm considering investing in some, like, social stats or whatever. Social stats? This is
that's always the one thing about RPGs is, like, your main character has to have some decent social stats, I feel sometimes. I wish there was a way to get around that.
Well, I had an option of upgrading them for my talent, but I didn't.
Well, I feel like sometimes, like, this is like more from like a Fallout and Baldur's Gate standard of, like, when you make your own custom character, they're always the person you talk with.
Yeah.
They're always the check you have to do.
Until I have to pickpocket someone, in which case I always switch to Asterion and stuff like that. Real quick, the party members I like so far the most. Karlak is, like, way too hot.
Oh yeah,
she's such a bro, dude. she's great.
I love her personality.
And then, like, I didn't know that, but, like, Gale and Will, like, I like the cut of their jibs. Though Will just went through some shit, and I'm like, I don't know how to feel about this.
Oh man,
Gale is just like my fucking dog. Will's a good guy.
I really like Gale. Like, he's a little he's a swarmy little shit. Those are my.
What did you think of Will's patron, Missoria?
She's cool. The thing is, she's in the box art. I got my eye out on that, so
yeah,
I'm gonna see. Also, I definitely killed a party member. But how could two?
Yeah.
Oh, was it the? Who else have I killed? Was it the Mind Flayer at the start?
No.
Okay, that was like that would be weird.
Did you stab Asterion, or did I mishear that?
Did I what?
Stab Asterion?
No, Asterian's biting me every once in a while.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we can't spend too much. This is bonus corner. I will continue
to
play.
let him bite you?
Every once in a while, like twice.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of fun. I don't know. My girl's kinky.
Oh, cheeky.
I'm gonna download the polyamory mod so I can fuck everybody.
Yo.
You should download the butt plug mod.
The what?
You should. I'm gonna let you know what you don't. You should wait on doing that. I think it's best to experience like just the story and how the relationships work out by themselves. But
I'm still gonna fuck everybody then.
You can
Really?
fuck as much as you can.
Okay, cool.
Just like my first playthrough, I put everyone in the friend zone because like I role play as my character and I was like this character wouldn't fuck that person. This time around, I'm testing the waters.
Well, I got a randomized character and I feel like she's down for it.
Dude, your randomized character was actually so cute.
She's cool. I like her. That my tab. She's my little monk. She's
Miller, you had to make a second character.
Cool. Yes. I also randomized that. I really regret not double checking the voice.
Okay.
Ooh.
It's like a orc woman, I guess. It's kind of hard. Like, I hate this. It's kind of hard to tell. But she's got a very feminine voice. But she's like very like big and brutish. So at least I would have given her a rougher woman voice if I double checked the voices. So that cutscene kind of throws me off.
Before we move on, Bradley.
Yes.
Have you gotten to Act? Have you started Act 3 yet?
No.
And he never will.
Just pausing there. Okay.
I was getting really far on my current playthrough, but because I've been playing on Steam Deck, but I eventually reached a point where it crashes.
angry at Bradley at stopping at a certain point in my life, because
it sucks that he restarted it too. So it's not.
Yeah.
Also, we played Mouthwashing right after Game of the Year, but we also talked about it during Game of the Year. Joe, did you like it?
I did like Mouthwashing. I
Sweet.
think where it landed was
perfect.
I think where I would would put it. You mentioned like there's those sections that are really frustrating. I agree with you. I think that really like.
And that was with us there being like, oh, here you just have to turn every corner, and here you have to like watch out with the invisible wall and go around it. Like without that, you just. Anyways.
I think it literally took like the game from like a 9 to like an 8 to me. Were those sections.
What that reminded me of is the people who make Amnesia. They made that game Soma, and
which I will play one day.
Like the story's really good, but it has some of those like run or stealth from monsters moments, and it like people just didn't like those moments because they take you out of the story and they didn't seem that necessary. And I think the most popular mod was make it so the monsters can't kill you, to the point where I think they added official support for like a mode that the monsters are there, but they're just like tastefully placed to scare you, but you don't actually have to like stealth around them.
Bradley's gifted me that game, and I promise you I will play it one day. Do you remember that? It was on sale, and like you just sent it to me. It's like, Willie, this is really good.
Yeah, I think a long time ago.
And then I've constantly failed you, and this is why I can't recommend things anymore.
I mean,
I've driven this wedge in our relationship that can only be fixed.
Well, it's a game you gotta be in the mood for that game. You gotta be ready for some existential.
That and Pathologic 2 are games where like I need to be ready.
Oh my god, and Pathologic 3 is coming.
That's so crazy. I'm happy for you. Joe, do you want to quickly talk about Star Wars Unlimited in our bonus talk? So it has to be quick.
Why didn't why didn't you ask me how I felt about Mouthwashing?
Yeah,
because you slept through half of it and you didn't like it.
I didn't.
Tyler literally says, I can't believe y'all like that game. I was like, this is why I don't recommend you games and don't play games with you.
Y'all, this game is incredibly mid. It's a walking simulator.
It is a walking simulator.
It's not a game. It's a walking sim.
Well, I happen to like a well-told story, but you wouldn't know about that, would you, Mr.
I would. They're called movies.
Yeah, this was a good movie game.
If someone called this a movie instead of a game, I wouldn't be that mad about it.
I wouldn't care. It's a good game that I liked with a good story and like has really good. The characters are really good and well executed. It's got good spooks here and there.
I will say, in my honest opinion, just sitting there watching it, it is a nice story for people who like stories. It is a walking simulator, so that like docks it 2 points for me.
Okay.
Out of 10. But I do not think that the story is overall that original.
I think what's impressive.
I think it is an overhyped game, but it is good.
I think it's less about like the story itself and more about, I guess, how it's told.
Yeah, I think the execution of that story is really well done.
The mixed perspectives is really well done, as well as the imagery that comes along with it.
And I mentioned this in Game of the Year, like the splicing and like there's even comedic timing of like cutting back to Anya, and she's like, why isn't there locks in the like sleeping quarters, which has a double meaning, and then it's like, oh well, there's one in the medical bay or whatever to keep people safe, and then it's Swansea breaking through. It's like, Jimmy, I'm gonna kill you. Well, no, it's not that scene. It's Anya traps herself in that lock to do her thing, and then also like in the captain's quarter, Swansea breaks in. So like, there's just like really good comedic timing, and also tense timing with the editing. I don't know, really well executed.
Yeah,
this is why I didn't ask you, because you hate her.
I am a hater. I will admit it. I was not a fan.
That's fine. Okay. At least you admit it's good, but it's just not your cup of tea.
It is 100% not my cup of tea. I would rather play something like Dead Space or Alien if it's going to be horror on a ship.
Well, this is why I went to Bradley, and I was like, Bradley needs to play this, because I think
that's the thing. It's kind of a rare scenario that this happens, but Willer suggested it, and the winds were blowing right, and I just immediately bought it and played it, and I was like, you know what? He's right. That shit was good.
Yay. All right, Joe, wrap us up if you want, or not. It's bonus corner. It's optional.
I'll run through this real quick. So, my friends and I started the Star Wars Unlimited TCG. I say my friends and I started. I really was like, oh, let's just collect some cards and just have some fun, like, card game.
I've heard that before.
Build some jank decks. And we bought the game, and my friends immediately bought, like, $200 decks. I'm like, you guys are fucking... I fucking hate all of you.
Yeah.
It was like, but so the game is very similar. It's like, once again, is like inspired by Commander. Like, Commander's been a big source of inspiration for a lot of card games recently. But like, you start off with picking a character from the Star Wars universe. So you could be like Han Solo, Luke, or whatever. What's interesting is, so you have a character, and they have two colors. So they have like a red, a green. Hold on, let me remember. They have a red, a green, a yellow, and a blue color. But they also have a secondary color that is either like light side, dark side. Like, okay, cool. So every character is a dual color character. But then you get to also pick something called a base. And the base can either be the same color or a different color. So you kind of you have this customization of like how you want your leader to be color-wise in comparison to like One Piece or Magic, where it's like, you pick your character and that's your color. You have some other selection that you can use, which I think is really cool. That's number one. Number two, there are two lanes of like battling. There's like the ground area and the space area. This is pretty self-explanatory. All the ground units go on one side, and all the space units go on one side, and they can attack only in that direction. Easy peasy. Here's the weirdest thing about this game. You do not take a full turn. You do one action, and then your opponent does an action. Cool. And then you do an action. So, like, if I play a card, Tyler then goes and can play a card. And then I go, and I can attack with the unit, and then Tyler can go and play a card. And you keep tossing that back and forth until each of you pass. With one of the options being to, as your action, to take the initiative, so you get the first turn on the second round, on the next round.
That's cool.
That happens. Yeah. It's a really interesting system. It's really fun. It's really cool. I haven't played much of it. We've done a few draft nights. My friend, this is like his first like TCG he's played, and he has been sucked into the pack pooling rabbit hole. Like, he just wants to buy boxes of this shit.
Oof. Rookie mistake, kiddo. You only get a limited amount of boxes, and you cut it off there.
I know. The thing is, like, there's a lot more product for this than there is for One Piece, for good and bad, because a lot of times what makes a card game live is the rarity of those cards for the collectors, because they officially are the ones that are, like...
They're the whales.
Yeah, the whales. They're buying the boxes, and they're keeping that secondary market alive, and, like, keeps it going. And, like, the good and bad is, like, the game is cheaper compared to One Piece. Like, the most expensive card we saw was, like, $50 Luke Skywalkers, and you buy 3 of them, and like that's the most expensive card. There's no all art stuff yet, but they're coming out with the next set. I think the game is really solid. It's really fun. I'm more just annoyed at my friends who just immediately were like, "Oh, we're gonna just buy all these cards and decks." I'm like, can we just not have a nice little like you know, that honeymoon period, we're all just like having a good time playing kitchen table Magic or One Piece or whatever, where we're not like hyper competing.
They got into it. They're adults.
I know. It's just like the thing is, like, I didn't really want to get into it. It's just more of like, I want to try this and just play around with it and like have a little fun game we can do with my friends, and they just dove right in. And the thing is like their Star Wars nights fall into my boxing nights, so I'm never going to be able to go.
Should have gotten them into One Piece instead. Rookie mistake, Joe. Stay away from Star Wars. It's the devil.
Hey man, One Piece doesn't stock cards. That's the thing. There's no stock anywhere like past the first.
Well,
week.
that's a benefit. You get to play starter deck meta forever because they won't be able to buy their decks.
None of them watch One Piece either, so it's like they don't care.
I think like a good 15 to 20% of One Piece players don't watch One Piece. So.
Fair enough. But yeah, it's a cool neat game. But
that is the bonus corner. Boom, done. It went a little longer than expected, but we're trying out the system. We got to squeeze in some stuff. All right, that's the podcast, y'all. And if I ended right now, it is sub 3 hours. So why don't we just ride this out?
I'm impressed.
For another hour, right?
Dude, we got through all the main topics at 2:46. I was like, let's go.
We were blazing.
I was worried this was gonna be like another. Didn't we go to 5 one time? That was
one. Yeah.
We can't be doing that.
Yo, look at what this guy is selling.
No, we have to stop it. The timer's going. I'm gonna stop the podcast.
Stop it.